Real Talk.
Hey, I'm Gina Lou, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hey, what's up? It's Logan Browning, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Real Talk.
Hi, this is Alana De La Garza, and you're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, I'm Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. You're listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
Hi, this is Monique Dupree, and you are watching Real Talk with the Director on Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, I'm Stormy Maya, and you are listening to Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
This is Vicky Judy. Orange is the new black, and I'm here with Real Talk.
Yo, what up? This is Jay Ellis, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio. Keep it locked.
Hi, I'm Rita Parks. You are listening to Real Talk Radio with the Director. Hey, I'm Issa Rae, and you're watching Real Talk with the Director on Dollhouse Radio.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And nothing less. What's going on? Welcome to another edition of Real Talk with the Director and the Jedi Council. I'm the Director. Be with you for the next 120 minutes or so, maybe just 60 minutes this time. But anyway, Real Talk is brought to you each and every week by B2S Media. We broadcast live via the World Wide Web on youtube.com/IE Network TV, Twitter via Periscope, and of course the one and only Facebook social network itself. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. Of course, it's Monday. It's the 12th of July, as my grandmother used to say. 12th of July. It's the year 2021. And we are midway through this year, pretty much. More than midway now. Something. 2021 flying by. So we are finally, we get the film for Black Widow. It came out, and over the weekend it's had a nice opening box office. We'll check those numbers once we get Ralph on. And I believe I thought I saw somewhere around the 200 million range. That might be worldwide, but still, that's good. I don't know if does this mean the pandemic is, showing signs of being back, not back, but being gone, and movies being back. We'll see. I mean, me, honestly, I have not been back to the theaters. I know Ralph has. I know Kev has. I think, I'm not ready yet. I'm not there yet, so it is what it is. But I did watch Black Widow on Disney Plus. Disney Plus made it available to us, so we were able to watch it. Well, available with a fee, but I had already prepaid for it, so I'm not tripping on the fact that it was in the theaters and people were like, "Why you go to theater?" I already prepaid for it, so I just watched it. Plus, I was in the middle of shooting last week in New York. We came back to my home city, and we're shooting a film currently with one of my partners, friend to the show. You've met him before, Mr. Devon Smith, or Devon Smith, whichever way you want to pronounce it. Devon. We call him Troublesome. And, the whole team over there. Also, a friend to the show was Alice Reyes, who came on our show a couple times. Last time we saw her up here discussing shooting sex scenes. How ironic, Alice, because we had to shoot a sex scene with you during this trip. Yes, the film is called Mirror, and we are, proud to, continue to shoot that. It's coming out really good. We had a couple of, ups and downs, but there's always challenges when you do these films, doing films, period. There's always a challenge when you're shooting a film or two or four. So we had a couple location issues and blah, 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 but we pulled through it, got it shot. I was supposed to try to link up with my man Ralph, but we had a little location issue that day. So it's all good. Speaking of Ralph, I want to say happy birthday. Shout out to Ralph. Most definitely happy birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Ralph. Coming on the air on his birthday, better than me. I'll probably be like, nah, I'm chilling. It's my birthday. So come and share some time with you guys. And we'll talk a little Black Widow stuff. We'll talk just some movie news that's going on. You know what I mean? And we'll have a nice little night and get through it. So, no further ado, let's bring on the birthday man himself. 1/3 of the Jedi Council. Actually, 1/4 of the Jedi Council, including Larry. Ralph, you're in the building. What up, man?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the birthday shouts out. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I don't think I look too bad. I don't think I look too bad for 51. I really don't.
Oh, 51. Okay. There you
Could
go.
use a little more. Could use a little more hair, but
it's all good.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
man.
cut.
You
That's why.
know, you don't look a day over 49 and a half.
Wow.
No, I'm just messing with you. It's all good, man. Bro, 50. I mean, I don't know. 51 is still young, man. I don't know what 51 is supposed to look like, but with our people, 51 looks like you, or you look young still, because it is young.
I'm still good. I'm still active. I have the normal aches and pains that everybody else have from working. But other than that, I'm still pretty good. I'm still mentally still pretty sharp. So I'm okay. I'm doing good.
That's good.
Progress.
That's all you can ask for. That's right. That's all you can ask for, man. It's a blessing to be able to say that you're 51 or anything, right. 50 anything these days.
Exactly.
People. I don't want to get on my soapbox, but people, try to take care of yourself as much as you can. Stay active, and make sure, because our people, they drop in like flies at young ages, and it's just. I just got word of a gentleman who is a pastor of the church I used to play drums for, a church I grew up in, Friendship Baptist Church in Roslyn, Long Island, and I saw word that he passed away. And he was young himself to be a pastor of a church, stuff like that. He was in his 50s. He had to be. And this dude was like, because I remember, my mother, rest in peace, used to play for when he was the pastor of a different church in Westbury. And cause my mother used to hustle with her. She used to play for 2-3 churches, man, and get that money. You know what I mean? So but she played for him when he was pastor of a different church, and he was young back then. He was like in his 30s. And that maybe he you can't tell with our people, to be honest with you, because a lot of times we still look very young for our ages. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, I think I feel
like you just said, 51. I don't think anybody will buy that you're 51. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody will buy that.
More so when I cut this off. See, this is the part right here that's like kind of the giveaway. But once this is all gone and the face is nice and smooth, like Gary Coleman, you can't tell. You can't tell. I'm not trying to put it out there.
No, for real. Same here. I mean, I usually, I'm 45, and most people don't think that when they meet me. They're like, "You're 45." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm 45." And remember, I talk about grandkids, stuff like that. And I had kids when I was young. I had, my daughter. I was, 15 when my daughter was born. So I started very young with kids. So that's why I got 2 grandkids. But 45 is not an age too young to have grandkids. You know what I mean? It's just that I had said my people more surprised at the ages of my grandkids because they're like my oldest is 10. You know what I mean? My oldest grandchild is 10 and whatever. So, but my daughter, that's where people really get. My oldest daughter is 31, I think she is, or 30, 31. And people are like, oh my God, you're 45 and your daughter's 30, 31. I'm like, yeah. So, but that's what happens, man. We usually, black don't crack. Let's be real. Let's keep it real. So,
don't crack.
But shout out to anybody and everybody.
It doesn't chip. It doesn't fade. Still smooth. Yeah. It never goes out of style. Never goes out of style.
For real.
I'm just saying,
shout
classic.
out to the chat room, of course. Joseph Panner always holding us down. Appreciate you coming through.
Hey,
Jamie Figueroa. Thank you for coming through. We appreciate you. So, and everyone, shout out, jump in the chat room if you're on, give us a shout. Give Ralph a happy birthday shout out.
I take Cash App.
He takes
credit cards,
food stamps,
credit cards.
Food stamps ain't like it used to be. For all of you youngins, all you millennials, and you Gen Zers.
I'm sorry for you Gen Zers. Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. For you Gen Zers and millennials, food stamps. When we were younger, and me and Ralph fall in the Generation X. That's what we fall into. And Generation X, food stamps were actually stamps. Like they were booklets.
It was like a book.
It was like a book of funny. It almost looked like Monopoly money. Yeah. It was like a book of Monopoly money. Trust me. They made sure they embarrassed you if you had to use them.
I know a friend of mine. She used to get them, and then she would be like she'd break the dollar ones off, and they give her change back, like whatever they would give her actual money back. And I used to be like, why didn't they just give you food stamps back? She said they not doing that.
I think at one point they stopped that because people used to do it to get money back. I think at one point they finally stopped giving back money, and it was like you had to use it or something like that.
Now we're just gonna give you the card.
And then they give you a card, an EBT card.
Yeah. And now there's no more mistakes.
No mistakes, no change, I need some cash. Let me go break these food stamps so I can get some cash in my hand.
Remember sometimes back in the day, like people really didn't like food stamps, so they would just kind of like slide it on the table, like here you go, nice and quiet.
They were embarrassed to use them. I mean, let's be honest. Me and my cousin. Shout out to my cousin Anthony. Me and my cousin Ant, man, when we were younger, growing up in Roosevelt, Long Island. That's right. I grew up in Hempstead and Deer Park, Long Island, Suffolk, and Nassau County. He grew up in Roosevelt. That's where he lived. And we were walking down the street in Roosevelt, and we found a book of food stamps. And I think I told this story. I'm sure I've told this story on air before. We might have been talking about something else. But we took that book of food stamps. We went to Food Town, it was called at the time. We went to Food Town. And we just bought a whole crap load of Fruity Pebbles cereal and milk. And we ate it like our minds was bad. Like we ate it. I mean, we had so many boxes of Fruity Pebbles. I did not eat Fruity Pebbles for years. Like I was like, I'm good. I don't need, like I've had it recently, but I didn't like them. I've had them recently. I probably had Fruity Pebbles in about 3 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. Last time I remember, though, you know how these cereals, they change the formulas and they mess everything up.
Yeah.
But we bought Fruity Pebbles. That's all we bought, Fruity Pebbles and milk. And we literally found like $100 in food stamps. It was like a book that wasn't finished or something like that. Because back then, if you didn't have the book, that was another thing. If you didn't have the book and you just had the stamps, You couldn't do nothing with them.
Couldn't do nothing. Like, nope, we need the book.
They're like, we need this. You need to show them the book because they don't know if you stole them.
You had to actually have the book and rip it and tear it out. Like, you couldn't have the book and then separate. No. They had to be together. You know, man, Fruity Pebbles. I ain't had Fruity Pebbles.
Yo, they changed it, bro. They changed the formula just like they did with Fruit Loops. They changed the formula with Lucky Charms. Like, they don't taste the same. None of them. I haven't had cereal. I haven't had cereal in a long time. I was never a big fan because I like chocolate. I like Cocoa Pebbles. I didn't like Fruity Pebbles is cool, but I was always Fruity Pebbles. As much as I love chocolate, I'm so weird when it comes to chocolate. I never liked chocolate cereal. Not any type of chocolate cereal. None of them.
Only
Cocoa Pebbles, Count Chocula, none of them I liked.
I know why I didn't like Count Chocolate. I think I didn't like Count Chocolate because of the mushrooms. The marshmallow pieces. I think that's why I never really.
I didn't like marshmallow in my stuff too. It was so weird, and I never even liked it. I never even liked the chocolate chip cookie crisp. All I liked the version that I like. No one remembers. Do you remember the vanilla wafer flavor of cookie crisp? There was a vanilla wafer.
That was the original one with vanilla wafer.
Right, vanilla wafer. But a lot of people don't remember. They only remember the chocolate chip ones. They're like, no, I don't remember that. I'm like, yo, it was vanilla wafer.
It was like in the 80s. It was two options, but I guess a lot of people didn't buy the vanilla one. They just wanted the cookie. I mean, I remember the cookie crisp, but I remember that vanilla wafer one because I remember when because it came out like around 80. I think it really came out like 81, 82, somewhere around there. I remember it was two, but then now you just had cookie crisp, the chocolate chip.
Now it's just the chocolate chip one, So that's weird. But anyhow, we're not here to talk about cereal. We're here to talk about, unless it's a series.
Crunch berries. That's my jam. Crunch berries.
Yeah, man. Just protect the roof of your mouth, and you'll be okay. Oh, yeah. You gotta learn. There's a technique to eating Captain Crunch cereal without tearing up the roof of your mouth.
Tearing your mouth up.
Yeah,
it's a bad. So, it's like getting it feels like getting paper cuts.
It's really like, bad. Damn, I don't understand why that happens. But I love Crunch berries too, and it took me. I didn't really start eating Crunch berries till I became an adult. I didn't like them as a kid. I only liked Captain Crunch, and as an adult, I'm like, oh, these are good. Oh shit, what was I missing? But yeah, man. So Black Widow came out. Let's go to the box office mojo and check out what we're looking at here.
I must admit, Black Widow was better than what I was giving it credit to be.
Well, I never thought it would be bad. I was looking forward to the movie, but I didn't
think that. I just was like, because she died. Spoiler alert if you didn't know that. That's not in the Black Widow. But
not in Black Widow.
And how are they going to like why were you giving me an origin story after she died? And
right.
It's not even an origin story. It's like a branching story.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too because there are several things out there, reviews and such, that really did talk about that, and they were like, yo, they thought that Black Widow, was it too late to put this film out? I was reading an article, and they were really, really going in on Black Widow. Not saying that it was a bad movie. They said it was a good movie, but what they're upset about is the fact that they feel like it's too little, too late for you to try to save and salvage this character. Like, they had 10 years to build this character, and they never really did. Which I can't say I 100% disagree with them, because they're like, other than her, tight cat suit, doing the flip with her legs, and a tight cat suit, the flip with her legs, and the hair flip and the posing, which they made fun of in the movie.
Yeah, they made fun of that.
They did make fun of that in the movie.
I thought that was the best part.
That was funny. But what they're saying is, and I kind of believe them, they're like, what they feel that the writers took the opportunity to make fun of the fact that Disney all this time did not really build this character, and all they did was kind of sexify her, so to speak. She was like Smurfette, basically, the only girl in the Avengers at first. You know, it was like she was kind of like Smurfette, you know, and it was just like, oh wow. I thought it was an interesting article. I don't remember who wrote it. As we're gonna let Kev on. Welcoming Kev to the show. Kev.
What's up, Kev?
Hello, sir. I guess he'll connect when he connects, but he is on. Got our Jedi Council on here today. So but yeah, so I kind of agree with. I don't 100% agree with the article because they were, you know, I felt they were a little bit over the top with it. They made it seem like all she was there for was to look sexy and flip her hair. You know, that I don't agree with. But
no, she
I don't agree with that.
I mean, she certainly was not sitting on the sideline during the New York invasion or Civil War.
No, so she was right there.
She was mixing it up. You know?
Yeah,
so
she was there. I don't agree with that part, but I do agree with the fact that she, you know, they had 10 years to really build that character, and they really did minimal. They gave us minimal information, and then to come into this film, which, like I said, it was a good film, and but I guess that article was kind of talking about, was it too little too late? Too little too late. But let's go to the box office and find out. It doesn't look like it's too little too late because or maybe it's just right on time, you know what I mean, because of the timing of it. Worldwide, it says as a box office Mojo, 158 million worldwide. Now, I've been reading reports of 200 million. I think they're counting the Disney Plus sales as well.
Yeah.
So the Disney Plus sales was like 30 million on its own or something, or maybe more than that.
60.
It was 60, you know? Yeah.
And
so they're counting now.
And I saw that yesterday, and I said, see, that's just what I'm talking about, how Hollywood is. There's going to be some executives going to sit there and say, you know what? They almost made as much on the small screen as they can make on the big screen. So why don't we just bypass the big screen and keep it on the small screen? Mm-hmm. And this is what I've been saying. This is what I see coming. You know, the end.
Well,
the end
I mean,
of the,
yeah.
what?
Well, this is.
Yeah.
I think that. I mean, I've been saying that. You know, eventually, I said that the streaming is not going anywhere. That's for sure. And this is kind of some more proof that it's not going anywhere. But you know, they're going to try to ride the theaters out in as much as they can. The theater may not be going away either, but it's going to, at some point, the executives are going to have to make executive decisions on how they can balance this. Now, I think at the very least, let's say, hopefully, the pandemic really goes away. Not like what they're saying now, but let's say it. Hopefully, it really goes away, and movie theaters are back full percent, 100%. I believe at the very least, they will still shorten the time that it goes to streaming. At the very least,
I think it's going to come down like 30 days.
It's going to come to like 30 days, and that might be max. You know what I'm saying? They'll give it a month to do its numbers in the theater, which that's really all it takes for it to really do the numbers in the theater if it's marketed properly. So they're gonna probably bring it down to maybe 45 days max. 30 days to 45 days.
I think it's at 45 now. But
it's at 45 now? Oh, they dropped it to 45? Remember, it was up to like, at first, the original deal was like
60. It was like 60, but I think now it's like 45. But I think it's going to drop down to 30 days. And
it's
but I think
depend on the studio too.
Yeah.
What'd you say? Depends on the studio. Yeah, I agree. Depends on the studio. Disney is a studio that has control of their own fate. They can do what they pretty much want to. So if they decide that, hey, this was pretty lucrative because you got your people that are just going to go to the theaters regardless, and some people just don't see it feasible to pay $30 for something, you know, that you're watching at home. And some people think the exact opposite. Some people think, you know what, cool, I'll pay $30 and pack my living room with my friends and family, gonna watch it. You know, it just depends on how you look at it and how you want to do it, right? And you got some people that's just strictly doing it because they don't want to be mingling with a bunch of people in a packed theater. So, but I'm thinking, let's just
and not
say,
only that, it's the convenience factor too.
Convenience,
also.
Then you have your convenience factor. For me, it's a little bit of maybe all three. One, most definitely, I'm still not there yet going to the movies. Number two, yeah, it is convenient because to be honest with you, if I would have, let's just say there was no pandemic, I probably wouldn't have had time to go see it this week because, you know, I was filming all week. So it was convenient for me to go back to my hotel and watch it, you know. So I was like, okay, I'll just watch it there, you know.
And the other thing that's gonna affect it too, like I said last year, and a little bit before, you know, when this whole thing started to become a discussion.
Yeah.
The other factor is going to be is theaters stepping up to premium services. You know, like that's going to be the way to go now with the 4DX, IMAX, RPX. You know,
they're gonna have to enhance the experience again. Their first time doing it was, you know, with recliners and stuff like that, and everyone started adapting.
Well, they already started. They already started that with the 4D.
No,
with the 4DX.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. That but everyone is gonna have to start finding a way to enhance the experience.
Well, they have been like Regal Theaters has RPX. Like RPX started a little bit after IMAX started. Regal Theaters.
Yeah, Regal has RPX. Yeah,
has RPX, and then AMC has the Adobe experience, which is only limited to a handful of theaters. Like I know, like in the city, the AMC 42nd Street has the big theater that used to be their biggest theater. They converted that theater into a couple of years ago. They converted that theater into the Adobe experience. I mean, it's
I think they're gonna have to start. I think they're gonna have to start bringing more of the ones that's at Disney, the food ones, the ones that where you could like eat food and they serve you food and stuff like that. I think they're gonna start implementing that a little more too.
AMC has been up on that game since.
No, I mean they do it, but not every theater. Like for instance, down here, the only theater that does it is the theater that's at Disney Springs.
Oh, okay, I got you.
And you go there and you can have the whole dining experience. And then on the other side, they have regular AMC. And then one theater is the Dolby experience. So my thing is this. I believe they're going to have to make some adjustments and make sure, hey, you know, we need to make all of our theaters like this, especially with the Dolby. The Dolby experience is great, but they usually only put that in one, like the biggest theater in there, in that building.
It's always the Dolby experience has always been the biggest theater that's the
building
screening room. That's it.
Biggest screen. Yeah, they usually put in the biggest screen in the building, and you know, they're just gonna have to. I think they'll have to. I don't think, you know, in a couple of years, you know, if everything continues to go well for them, if they're going to be battling the streaming services and stuff like that, I believe that they may finally make that step and say, you know what, because there's still some AMC theaters out there that don't have recliners. They got just regular seats. And I believe that they're going to be like, you know, we need to just get these recliners in everywhere because people,
it depends, because some of those theaters that don't have the recliners, they're not doing it because it's not cost effective to do. Because if they do happen to let's just say like for instance the AMC 42nd Street and the AMC Roosevelt Raceway, they can't convert those older theaters into recliners because they'll lose a seat count. Like the seat count that they'll lose versus the money they'll spend to convert the theater, it just won't work. It'll take them years before they start making that money back. The only one that might, like the AMC Raceway over in Garden City, I should say Westbury. That one might be able to do it because they're because of their location where they are. They probably would be able to do it and still have, but they would have to do like Rockville Center did and just do the rocking chair and not the full recliner.
I'm hearing some. Is that like? Is that feedback?
Yeah, that's over here.
Oh, okay. I'm
Do you need to run? Do you need a fire extinguisher?
You need to get out of there. Is it a fire alarm?
You need to go.
Yeah,
run fast. Run, Forrest, run.
No emergencies on the air. Hey, is there a fire alarm going on there? No, but I guess Kevin get back to us. But yeah, like I said, man, I'm not sure what the theaters got to do to enhance the experience. Right now, they're just really. Right now, they're just a benefit of people being tired of being in the house and they want to get out and go back to the movies. That right now is
I think two things.
Benefit.
I think one is liquor. One is a limited type of liquor, not hard liquor, but like beer and wine. And I think the other one, like I'm going to Chicago this week, and the theater where I'm going to, that's behind the hotel where I'm going to, they have those D-Rock seats in there that rumble. So
yeah, those are great experience. There's a theater around here that has that. There's only one theater down here that I know of that have those D seats where it moves and it's almost like. And I'm gonna tell you right now, another thing that also goes on in Disney, mostly as a part of the Disney experience, like in Hollywood Studios, is the 4D experience. That's on certain movies they may make that something like Avatar or something like that may have a 4D experience. The only thing that they can't really make that so vast and worldwide because people can actually get sick and stuff like that because you got the smell and so that could bother people. You know what I mean? Even people like myself, with my asthma, you never could tell what's going to trigger my asthma. If it's a smell, it could be a smell, could be flowery smells usually trigger it, or stuff like that, or smoke, whatever. So yeah, the 4D experience is not something that they're going to be able to do everywhere. But
they already do it. They don't do it everywhere. But there's already over the last 10 years there's been 4D experience theaters.
See, I haven't been anywhere that has a 4D theater.
The only one that I've been to is
there's one in Manhattan. There's one in Manhattan. That's right across the street from the AMC. They have the I think it's in that Regal Theater that they have 4DX. I'm almost certain that the theater across the street has 4DX.
I mean, it's cool. There are people that that's a cool thing. I mean, I think those 4D experiences, really only work with certain films and or really effective.
I don't want to go see Shakespeare.
Well, they can do it for any film because they did it with Black Panther. They did it with Black Panther. The 4DX screens in California. And I think the other ones they did it with Black Panther. They can do it with almost any movie because it's a custom thing. The theater actually customizes that to fit the movie.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. Like I said, well, as long as I think theaters will be fine as long as there's no report that comes out about anybody, had that. Like a COVID breakout or anything like that. As long as that happens, I think theaters will be fine. But like I always said, streaming is not going anywhere because you're going to have your group of people that just enjoy it. They enjoy the convenience. They enjoy, like I said, that's what it is. So at the end of the day now, especially once everyone's back doing what they're doing, $30 doesn't seem like a lot of money if you're going to have a party and say, because everyone now, even before the pandemic, but the pandemic made it even worse where people were buying their own home theaters and big screens and buying their own recliners. And I mean, I know plenty of people that had it anyway, You know, like men had their house and they built their little theaters and stuff. So yeah, right, exactly. So with that being said, it doesn't seem like a stretch to say, you know what, I'm gonna have a little party. You know, one friend of our show, AJ Perez, he does it all the time. He did it with what was the film he did it with where he said he had a big party?
Oh, Justice League.
It was
when
Justice
he's talking
League,
about those ribs, I'm still like, yo, I want some of them ribs, man.
I want some of them ribs, bro.
Like, damn,
AJ, come on.
He made them sound like they was butter or something.
He said he slow cooked them like overnight,
glazed them, and I'm like, damn,
falling off the damn bone. But yeah. So they might start. If you're a person like AJ who, just want to make the best of it and have his buddies over and they have food and they watch it, that's gonna, stuff like that is gonna stick around. So then people might look at Disney Plus and be like, yo, I'll pay the $30 because to be honest with you, you could be like, yo, everybody give me $5, you know what I'm saying? And you like pay for it. And then we have
But this is what I'm gonna say about
we all have
this is what I'm gonna say about that one. I'm like, that's no different than pay-per-view back in the day. I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
Theoretically,
it's
it's
like
the same
pay-per-view.
thing. And
it is the
truth
same.
is, a lot of people are cheap. They like, yo, you gonna invite me over? Like, he's like, yo, even if you don't pay for the movie, bring something. Oh,
bring
man,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If it's a yeah, well, that's the person. Then his ass needs to stay home. That's the person that sits on the outside. He don't need to stay home.
Outside.
It is feasible. You mean to tell me if you hanging with your buddies, it is more than feasible to be like, yo, bro, just give me $5, man. It's gonna be it's gonna be 6 or 7 of us in here, 10 of us in here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Give me $5. Let's bring your liquor, get some food. We're gonna have a nice night. You know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna happen. And I believe most of the streaming services are going to be like, yeah, we need to tap into that, especially Disney. They're like, we need to tap into that and stay into it because they see that they made a good profit. They made a good grosses in their first opening in the theaters. They opened in 4,160 theaters. Opening domestic was 80 million. 80 million opening and domestic, and 78 million international. 158 million worldwide, and then you put in what they made at Disney Plus, it's over 200 million that they made. The first
30 million, that 30 million that they made, or whatever it was that they made on Disney Plus.
I think it was closer to 60. Yeah, I think it was
60. So 60 million, whatever. So 60
straight in their
that
pocket.
Goes straight in their pocket. This is why I said last year, from the beginning, I've been saying it from the jump, and I will continue to say it. Mulan and a whole bunch of other movies, they were spot on with what they did. The only thing, and Mulan would have even made, because Mulan made good money. It made really good money. It would have made more money if it wasn't all the controversy between, China being blamed for COVID and, and China and just their issues and all of that stuff. That's the stuff that kind of jammed it up. Then there were a couple other things that jammed it up. But aside from that, it's a wrap. Disney rolled the dice and showed everybody this is how it works. When Universal tried to say, well, actually, I'll give Universal their credit too, because they jumped and said,
they did it first.
And then we'll give you the 15-day window. They jumped and then did the 15-day window. And Disney Plus is like, 15-day window? Hi, I got you. Hey, same day as theater release, $30. What?
Yeah.
And then here comes HBO Max. Oh, we got all of y'all. We got our whole 2001 slate is just going to be released same day release. That just made everybody like, whoa! Like even Disney was like, hold on a minute, it's a wrap. But I knew once Disney did it, there was no closing the door. Once Disney did it, and look, even there were a lot of critics who were saying, oh, the theaters are just going to block Disney movies. They're not going to, when Black Widow finally does get released,
gonna happen.
They're not going to happen. Not going to happen.
They'll be damned if they block Disney movies.
Yeah. And right now they need that influx of cash. Movie theaters will never be in a position, even if there wasn't a pandemic. Let's just say there wasn't a pandemic and Disney decided to do their streaming service and do online same day release for 30 days, or it's same day release for 30 days, and then you have access to it for the rest of your subscription. You always have access to it. So let's just say they did that and there wasn't a pandemic. There's like the movie theaters would still be grumping and groaning, but you know what? They're not going to cut it. They're not going to cut it because Disney is a big chunk of the draw, especially their summer draw. And even in the slow times during February and January, February, and March, when it's slow, in April, Disney has been there to pull them through the mud with some of their hits that some of the off-name shows that come out, like when Black Panther came out during February of the year it came out.
And let's not forget Disney Plus now. All of their shows are so integrated in with the movies.
Exactly.
You can't, and that was just brilliant for them to do that. So because their shows are so integrated with the movies, it's like you can't ignore it. So it's all in there. I mean, this movie itself is it's already leading you into possibly the Hawkeye Show.
Back to television.
Yeah, and
it's leaving the movie theater and going back to television. And it's what's so crazy about it is the theaters are in a position that they can't do nothing. They have to show it.
They got to show it. And it's like, oh man. So now it's like, until the next movie, go ahead and watch this TV show. You know what I mean? And like once again, I have to say it. You know what I'm about to say. These guys are the New York. Wait, let me. I don't want just the New York Mets. New York Met colors right here. But I'm just saying, these guys are the New York Mets of comic book movies, which is DC.
No.
Let me finish my point. No. Don't disrespect. I never disrespect Mets, but let me explain my point. Now, when it comes to the New York Mets and the New York Yankees, okay, so. That's my point as compared to the New York Yankees. I've been a Met fan all my life, and I still am. And they're currently better than the Yankees right now, which is great. But what I'm saying,
the caveat.
There's always a caveat. The New York Mets, and any true Met will always admit, gritting your teeth and still admit it, we are the little brothers. They're getting noogied and wedgied by the big brothers who are the New York Yankees. So my point is, there's
not purposely. It's also self-inflicted too.
Yeah, well, self-inflicted, and I'm explaining why. Because historically, the New York Yankees and the owner, the Steinbrenners, they have historically put their money back on the field to make sure that they continue to win championships. Whereas the New York Mets were in the same positions plenty of times and did not do that. And I mean, perfect example. And I don't want to talk sports. We'll leave that to Jimmy Ace with his sports show, the Benchwarmers.
That comes on.
Well, 86 team. But no, my example is this. The New York Mets, some may or may not know, had a very good chance to get Alex Rodriguez before the Yankees. They had a great opportunity, which would involve the trade of, at the time, maybe like a pitcher, some farm system people, and like whoever our shortstop was at the time, Ray Adonia, somebody like that. Somebody who doesn't even compare to Alex Rodriguez. What did the Mets do? And one of the stupid, I call them the blind Met fans. Oh, we don't want to trade away our farm system. We don't want to do that for Alex Rodriguez. I said, let me tell you something, especially when it comes to baseball. Production over potential, always.
Exactly.
In any sports.
Exactly.
In any sport, you must take production over potential, because potential is just what it is. So you're going to tell me that, if you have, Michael Jordan, if you got Michael Jordan, but yet Kobe Bryant is coming into the league. Yes, Kobe Bryant turned out to be very great. That's great. But you don't know what he was going to turn out to be when he was coming into the league. So you're going to trade Michael Jordan for Kobe Bryant? unless you have a situation where Jordan is like over the hill. I'm talking about a Jordan that's still in his prime. For Kobe Bryant, who has great potential, and ultimately he lived up to his potential. But my point is, you don't do that. So anyway, how I'm going to connect this to the movie situation. DC Warner Brothers has always had the opportunity way before Marvel even had it. When Marvel had their properties everywhere and couldn't even ring in their properties, were not able to do what they're doing now on Disney Plus. DC Warner Brothers has always had that opportunity to do this.
Full control over their IP.
Full control of their IP and then what did they decide to do? They decided to make the TV universe a completely separate universe from the film universe. So they had successful TV shows all the way dating back to freaking Lois and Clark. Like they had successful TV shows. Most of the time they do. You got, Lois and Clark all the way back then. Then,
you had Tom Welling as a Superman.
Yeah.
And you didn't
You had Tom Welling, who they just refused to put him in the Superman suit until like one final episode. You saw him in it.
Last shot.
You had people like Alex Ross, one of the greatest comic book illustrators and artists in the business,
of
maybe
all
ever.
Time.
He did a Tom Welling Superman drawing, and it looked so awesome. And you couldn't even take that cue and say, you know what? And I said, how many years ago we said this? Even back when I used to love Smallville. I'm like, yo, they should end Smallville, make a movie, and then come back with a new show and call it Metropolis. Boom. If they would have did that, you know how much they would have, because first of all, the movies would have got all the Smallville fans would have went to see that movie because everyone loved Smallville and loved Tom Welling and the people that they had in place. The girl they had playing Lois, everyone loved those people.
Everyone.
They would have had that movie, a Superman movie, and then they could have continued the adventures of Superman in the new show, Metropolis. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, and those side shows work. WB has the formula every time they have across the line. Across the line, not just
Marvel
with DC
done?
Characters.
What has Marvel done? What actually they've always been doing, even in the comic book realm, kind of stealing from DC ideas and making it better. That's pretty much what they've been doing. They've been doing that forever. They did it with, like when people say, Darkseid was before Thanos. Deathstroke was before Deadpool.
I mean, it's the whole thing. Deadpool exists because of
Deathstroke. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like, yo, what is going on here? What you got the Eternals and all these other people, but the new gods have already been there. You know what I'm saying?
But actually, Jack Kirby started with the whole premise of the Eternals actually started with DC, and then Jack Kirby came back to Marvel, and he brought that back with him because DC didn't want to do nothing with it. So they brought him back over.
So this is why they are the New York Mets of comic book film companies and films, because every time Marvel gets a chance to put the money back on the field, so to speak, they do it. They put the money back on the field. They go out and get the people that they need to make it happen. They put the actors, the stars into it. They put the behind the scenes, the directors that they need. They do all of that. And they put the money back on the field.
Look what they did. Hold on, Ralph. Let me just make this one more point. Look what they did with Legends of Tomorrow. The Legends of Tomorrow is dope. What did Kevin Feige do? Kevin Feige said,
that's cool.
And you're doing a Flashpoint movie? I got you. Stole everything from Legends of Tomorrow.
And made it seem like they did it first. Even though Legends of Tomorrow,
Yep.
You look at Loki. Look at the Loki show. Look at the time variance. Even though that's in the comics, but I'm just saying. The point is, you have all of that stuff, and they look how long they waited to do the Flashpoint movie. Look, what happened. Marvel beat you to the multiverse. How do you let Marvel beat you to the multiverse when you've had the multiverse? Something you created in the comics. How do you let? And yes, they talked about it in the TV shows like The Flash and stuff like that. They started doing the multiverse. But how do you let Marvel beat you to that in the movies?
And it's not even what they
do. Before you make your point, Ralph, once again, I land on Zack Snyder's Justice League that had the idea of fighting Darkseid, time traveler, going to Darkseid's place and fighting, coming back, losing, Earth getting, taken over, blah, blah, blah. Does it sound familiar, people? Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like Endgame, right? Guess what? You see what I'm saying? So what happens is they sit back and don't so trigger shy. They don't pull a trigger on these ideas that they have that are brought to them by the creative people. And then Marvel sees it. They're in the cut, and they're like, "Oh, okay, they didn't do it. Let's beat them to it." And now it looks like we thought of it.
And listen, prime example of your med example, Ralph, one more before you get on, Ralph, is Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is another example of what you could do to that. You had Spike Lee. You had all of these people for decades. All of this Black Hollywood money for decades could have did whatever you had the opportunity to have what Tyler Perry, and Tyler Perry they just bought another 100 and something acres that he partnered with. To expand again,
put the money back on the field.
Put the money back on the field,
and that's
Perry's another good example.
That's what it is. So go ahead.
Well, I know me.
I'm like to interject.
Yeah, I'm like one of the biggest, harshest critics of Warner Brothers. I am not a fan of some of the things they do. However, I sat here and listened to what you said, and I have to give Warner Brothers a pass for only one reason. You use Smallville. And me just looking at it, that's pre-Marvel universe. So back then they didn't know it was going to work. So I can understand them taking a pause with some of the more out there things like the multiverse stuff. I can see that. However, your individual talents at that point in time when Smallville was on, beyond Batman, Superman, you should have been doing a Flash movie. You should have been doing the Wonder Woman and all that other stuff. That you should have been doing. I have said this from point
way past that. Yeah,
you should have been doing this after Batman came out in '89. You let it slip. Now I know people say, well, Marvel did. But let's understand it. Back when Batman and Superman were coming out, comic book movies were 50-50 shot. You didn't know they were going to work. You didn't know if it wasn't going to work. Really until Blade and then X-Men, they say, okay, this can work. So for that reason only, I'm going to give Warner Brothers a pass with that one because for stuff like the multiverse, the more outlandish things, you didn't know it was going to work. However, you should have had your individual properties up and running. That's where you missed the ball.
I mean, either way, if you had that, and I agree with you there. The thing is, the only point I'm trying to make is before you had an opportunity to be the trendsetter, the trailblazer, because before Marvel was able to start getting their properties back, because even when the MCU formed, they still didn't own all of their properties, so they weren't able to give this continuity that they're giving now to us. Whereas DC, Warner Brothers always had that opportunity to give the continuity, and they decided to say, so regardless of the fact, you're still doing the show, but you're deciding that you're not going to have a continuity between the shows and the movie theaters and the movies. And to me, that wasn't a mistake. The reason why I don't give them a pass, because that was a conscious decision. that they were looking at, probably just greed. Probably just say no, because they're feeling that people are going to go see the movies, and they're going to have people that's going to watch the TV shows, because they've always had, for a long time, they've always had success with television shows. So,
but it's
you know, they've always had success with them. But it's like when it started, when the shows, remember, let's be honest, when you look at like these CW shows compared to like Lois and Clark, the old Batman show, those were more campy, not as, you know, serious. But when they started getting to Smallville, they started getting into like serious acting. When they did when Smallville kind of kicked off that real serious acting situations with their shows, because Smallville wasn't no campy shit. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't hokey. It was, you know, it was a series. It was like a drama series with action. You know what I mean? And then you got, you know, Arrow and all of those. They start getting serious acting and action going on in there, right? At that point, they could have started connecting them to the movies, because they had actors in there that were good enough to switch over to movies. You know what I'm saying? And still hold their own.
I'm not disputing that either. I'm just saying I don't think that at that time they really thought that was going to work. That's what I'm saying.
No,
that's crazy.
It's because of
it worked with the comics.
It's not that. Listen, it's not that they didn't think it could have worked. They know it can work. They know it could have worked. What it is you're still stuck on a business model that they've been doing since the 1920s that hasn't really advanced, you know, with the exception of when George Lucas came into the game, and then, you know, visual effects and all of that stuff started, you know, being added into movies.
And then transmedia marketing, which pretty much George Lucas kind of kicked off the transmedia marketing when it came to different types of, you know, merchandising and stuff like that, which he kind of revolutionized the way he did it. And he took less money and took all the merchandising and really caked off of that. And you know, that was even the industry didn't realize, you know, that's the whole point. You have to have someone. It's about taking chances, yo. Sometimes it's just like Jay-Z. It's like Jay-Z said. Jay-Z said in that song, the what's it called? The Story of OJ. He said, "Y'all niggas still taking advances, huh? Me and my niggas, we take real chances, y'all." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what you have to do.
But I agree with that. But that's real easy for you to sit back because you're not the person picking up any of the money for it. And
no. That's BS. That's BS. Because you know why? You know why? I'm gonna tell you why it's BS. Because they've done it with other movies. They've done it with other comic book movies that people don't even realize are comic book movies. There are a lot of movies out there that are actually comic book movies that are adapted from comic books that people don't. A lot of people don't realize.
Warner Brothers took the Matrix. Warner Brothers took the Matrix and made it a transmedia marketing campaign where they went from movie to the animation and this and that, all of that stuff. And they did transmedia marketing before. You know, they just never wanted to, you know, and as many times you could go and look it up as many times as you want. As many times as Warner Brothers has been asked, why haven't you crossed over your movie universe with your television universe? When you're in the thick of things, even when the Marvel Cinematic Universe was up and running and they hadn't had all of their properties yet, but they were able to still, you know, maintain and do what they do. And then they made Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which was the first time that Marvel was able to cross over the properties to television. You know, you had Phil Coulson's character, which started in the movies, that they crossed over to the television, and that was their little that was their first little crack at it. But they got the responses from that, right? Even at that time, DC still had a chance. They could look at the Marvel model and say, "Oh, they got some good responses from that. Maybe we need to do that because we already got all of these TV shows out there. So maybe, just maybe." And then they finally did it like a couple of years ago. Ezra Miller cameos in the Flash TV show because of part of the multiverse. But at that point, that was after Endgame and everything that came out. So it's like, once again, you want to wait. If you are the creator of this, you're the first person to do it or be known to do it, but you sit back and you wait for Marvel to do it, and then you want to come back. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
And it doesn't make sense, and it just doesn't work, because when you try, now you're trying to build something, even if it's something you already had. Like right now, they have Aquaman. Marvel's going to introduce Namor in Black Panther. Watch how much, and listen, I love Jason Momoa. I love him as Aquaman. I love what y'all know James Wan is my favorite director. I love what he did with Aquaman. Watch how Namor will overshadow Aquaman. Watch.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that stuff. I'm just saying when you specifically said stuff like Smallville, stuff before the Marvel Universe really took happen, I don't think that Warner Brothers really thought that far ahead. I don't think they thought it would work. And you're right, because if you do have something on television, and you take that TV property and you make a movie out of it with the same people as television, then once they hit the theaters, they're not going to go back and watch the show. I think that's the mentality thing going on there.
That was their mentality, but that's why I said what I said was, the mentality should have been, okay, how do we bring them back to television now? Well, let's make another show that revolves around the stuff that they saw in the movie.
No,
because obviously he can't stay in Smallville forever because of the history of the character. Eventually the show will have to move. It would have to end.
That's true. But I think once you jump those characters to the big screen, it's kind of hard to put them back onto the small screen. It's like not for nothing.
It's not for nothing.
Once Star Trek went to the big screen. Wait a minute. Well, once Star Trek went to the big screen with the original cast, the original cast came back onto the other shows as a cameo, but you never saw the entire cast come back to Star Trek in any of the other series. They did an episode here.
But they ended the show, and that's why I agree. I agree that they should have ended Smallville. And at that point, to be honest with you, you won't see the whole cast from Smallville if they did a new show in Metropolis, because they're not going to be there. It would just be Superman and Lois, really. Those are the only ones you're really going to see in Metropolis.
You still would have saw. I don't know how much a role she played, but you still would have saw his mother, right?
Well, yeah, you'd have saw Ma Kent. Every now and then. But my point is,
and maybe
all of the other like Chloe and all of them. Lana maybe not so much. As I'm saying, like Lana is the one who stayed in Smallville. You know what I'm saying? So it's like she stayed in Kansas or whatever. So at that point now, you're in another chapter of Clark Kent's life. So now you have to start telling those new stories, introducing new characters, introducing new situations. But like I said, it's all about, yes, of course, you can sit here and say, well, I don't think they thought that. But why should they get a pass for that? That's just mean you don't get a pass for being so conservative. Because if it's so easy, how come Marvel's doing it? You don't get a pass for being scared. If it was such a hard decision,
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because nobody had ever done it before. It doesn't matter. It does matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You either take the chance or you don't. You cannot get Brownie. It's like back to the Mets. Why didn't the Mets get? Well, it goes back to the Mets. It's like giving a kid a trophy. It's like giving a kid a trophy for participating. Fuck out of here! You lost. You should have played better.
Yeah. So the thing is this: go back to. I have to go back to my Ralph. I got to go back to my comparison to the Mets. Like I said, the New York Mets had an opportunity to pull the trigger and get Alex Rodriguez. Alex Rodriguez, who was already a proven player, but they're like, and they look for every reason to not get him. He wants his own plane. He wants his own jet. I don't think we should give him that. Look, if that motherfucker wants his own trip to the moon, you give it to him. Why? Because he's earned it. And what does he do? What does the Yankees do? They sit back and say, oh, word, the Mets didn't pull the trigger on that? Let's get him. Oh, but you already got a great shortstop. His name's Derek Jeter. Guess what? We're going to train this guy to play third base. And they go and they train him. And now Alex Rodriguez comes to the Yankees, wins the championship, whatever they do. And you know what I'm saying? So where he could have been to the Mets, where he originally wanted to go, because he originally wanted to beat Derek Jeter. He didn't want to play with Derek Jeter at first. And they were good friends. But that's the whole point. Good friends in competition in sports. I want to come to the Mets, be across the city, and be and bring that, be that just as big as Derek Jeter. So My point is, they had the opportunity. They got scared. Was it whatever you want to call it? Didn't pull the trigger. And then once again, they got to sit back and watch the Yankees hoist up another trophy and get all of the. That's pretty much what DC has to sit back and watch. The only thing that they made a decision that was right, that they beat Marvel to, was with Wonder Woman by putting out the female film. And that's the one time, and I've been saying this, everyone knows, you can watch it, all of our past shows. I said this is the one time that I have to say that the MCU and Marvel dropped the ball, in my opinion. I thought that the Black Widow movie should have released it after Civil War, just like in the timeline that it is. And I felt that they dropped the ball. Now, of course, they're now, in my opinion, they're a benefit that, you know, they held out and everyone wants to go out to the movies and watch it. And I'm not saying that they wouldn't have made money. My point is, they had a chance to put out the Black Widow movie years ago. And when they saw, that was the first and probably only time that they saw DC actually pull the trigger, put out Wonder Woman. It did tremendous. And then they were like, okay, we're going to have to go with Captain Marvel. And they still didn't go with Black Widow. They skipped over her and did Captain Marvel. So, you know, to me, that's the only time that Marvel followed suit behind DC, where DC made the decision, the right decision, finally, to put something out. And, you know, Marvel kind of followed suit and kind of felt, you know, came in second. I have to say, in that aspect, it came in second.
And this is why I think now we're getting this influx of female-led action films, because while we're going back to that again, because at some point Hollywood was just like, well, female action stars don't make money, and to me that's bullshit. To me that's bullshit. There's an audience out there for it. You're just being, again, the old business model, the old way of doing things, which are racist,
the old
sexist,
white man. The old white man way of doing things. Let's be honest. No. I'm saying, what I mean is, you know, the old white executives way of doing things, which is, you know, like how they do it. So my point is, I agree with you there. And that was the only time I say that Marvel dropped the ball. But you know, speaking of Black Widow, like I said, and this is not, I'm not saying any this is no takeaway of what they did over this box office weekend. That was great. That for it to be coming on the tail end of a pandemic and all that stuff, and people just getting back to theaters. They did a great job getting people out to see that movie. But like I said, I think they're also a little bit of a benefit of people just tired of being in the house and want to get out and go to movies again. Little benefit of that. So it kind of paid off that they held on to Black Widow this long. It kind of paid off for them to do that. Even that benefit is, I don't really call that a benefit, because it's the residual effect of everything opening up, and you know, people actually, you know, going out and doing, even though it's at limited capacity. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if all movie theaters were open up to full capacity, those numbers would have been a lot higher. Yeah, like a lot higher. It'd have been higher, but I feel I
don't know about that part, because when I went to see it, that movie theater was full. It was full to capacity, and I'm not talking about, you know, what they think. It was full, you know. But what I do think, if movie theaters then movie theaters will be open later, because I see a lot of places are stopping shows around 7:30, between 7:30 and 9 o'clock. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other thing that's affecting it too. Yeah, because there's still. A lot of theaters are still in pandemic recovery mode. Yeah, like when movie theaters first opened up, when movie theaters first opened up, they first opened up to their regular movie times, regular screening times, you know, late at midnight and all of that stuff. And then they started dialing it back because of staff. And obviously, you know, you got to pay for staff. You know, you start wasting food because you're making all of this food and nobody's picking it up. Yeah, so you know, that's definitely gonna have an effect, you know, and that's kind of gonna force people to go out to the movies at an earlier time, and also it could be restrictions, or depending on what state you're in.
if they have restricted times of how many people and when and all of that. For some areas, you know, like I believe here in New York, they're still limited to the capacity of what they can do, because I saw in movie theaters a lot. Actually, no, they didn't. Actually, all movie theaters here in New York are at full capacity now. Now that I think about it, because I remember when I looked
pretty
on
much
the
everybody is now, you know, with full capacity. But I think, like I said, with when it comes to Black Widow, kind of, I'm trying to see if I can find that article. I don't remember that article. I think that with Black Widow, just from a straight story, not story, but just evaluating the movie standpoint, I still think, in my opinion, that they did. That article talked about how it, you know, may have been for the movie with the. I don't agree with what the writer said about it being, she was over sexualized up into this movie. It just kind of, it seemed like the writer just wanted to take shots at the male directors, because, you know, this was directed by a female and written and stuff like that. So I think that was just the writer taking a shot at the male directors by saying that Favreau, the Russos, and Whedon. Now Whedon, I ain't gonna lie, Whedon did over sexualize her, because if you see all of the butt shots Whedon did with her, he did kind of over sexualize, but the Russos did not. The Russos did not do that. It but you know, anyway, and they made fun of that with this movie in a way, you know, with the whole hair flip thing and the pose, which was funny, which was hilarious that they did that.
You know,
they're
that's
like,
actually Iron Man's. That's Iron Man's pose. Iron Man was on yesterday, and I was looking at Iron Man 3, and when they're talking about the pose that he does the same thing when he lands with his leg out, his hand down. So she's just copying off Iron Man.
No, yeah, but when he does it, he's more like kneeled and then the hand down. Hers, she sticks the leg out, so it's sexier. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't do it. Her shit is almost like in a split. He didn't land like that. Iron Man don't land like that. Not with his leg like that.
Go look at the opening of Iron Man 3 when he lands. He does the exact same thing with his leg out and his hand down, like he does it's the exact same.
Well, I've seen him do that in a situation where he's like skidding or something like that. But what I mean is, but I think what the Black Widow twist on it is the hair flip. You know, which really, to be honest with you, the hair flip has to be there, because that's when you actually can show Scarlett Johansson, because we all know that, you know, Scarlett Johansson doesn't do all of the stunts. So the stunt woman is gonna do the pose and the hair's down, and then when you flip the hair, it's back to the actor, right? So that's pretty much why that's how you incorporate your stunts, you know, in with your story and just make it part of what they do. You know what I'm saying? But I do like the fact that they made fun of that. You know, they also made fun of the fact that she pronounced Budapest as Budapest, and because remember in the very first Avengers movie, she said, "Oh, it reminds me of Budapest," and then Hawkeye says, "You know, you and I remember Budapest very differently, right?" So, and I always wonder, like, why the hell did she say Budapest? Was that a mistake or whatever? And I did find out that sometimes some people do pronounce it that way. I think it's like in another country or whatever. But but still, they never really addressed why she says Budapest and always said that. And it's like, why does she say that? And you know, but I mean, hey, it's just like any other. In certain countries, they pronounce things differently. It's like shout out to my sister-in-law, Dorothy. You know, she used to always tell me she's Greek, so before I knew her, I always pronounced gyro like everyone else does in New York, but that's not the actual pronunciation of it. It's not pronounced gyro, it's pronounced gyro. So or even if you put the G in there, gyro. So I'm like, oh. So I was just up in New York, as we know, when I was filming, and someone was actually ordered one, And I was like, let me get a gyro. And she was like, what the hell is a gyro? I was like, oh, I mean gyro. Sorry.
That's like with
I was
Nissan
like,
with the Altima. Like everybody pronounces the Nissan Altima. It's not Altima, it's Altima. That's what the name of the car is. It's called the Nissan Altima. If you see, that's how it's spelled. But everybody calls it the Ultima. I don't know why. Maybe
that's what Hyundai. It's not Hyundai or Hyundai. Some people say Hyundai. It's Hyundai, like Sunday. Hyundai. That's what it is. So people say Hyundai, but it's not Hyundai.
The Y is silent.
The I, the Hyundai. Well, you go as Honda, and then you got Hyundai. That's how it's pronounced. So that's what I'm saying. So people always, same deal. But anyhow, Black Widow, let's just say, I'm gonna say that I definitely liked how it was. I enjoyed it. I watched it a couple times already. I think the storyline was good. How they tied it into the MCU and was able to, they put in Thunderbolt Ross, who is obviously in the MCU, and he's chasing because this is after the events of Civil War, so they're chasing her down. And at least they think they're chasing her down. I mean, come on, this girl, she's been a freaking Russian, or she's been a spy all her life. You really think Thunderbolt Ross is gonna be able to track her down? I mean, they weren't even in the same freaking building as her. They were in some other building, and she's walking out somewhere. Like wherever they went, she was there probably like hours ago. You know what I mean? Who's this? Someone wants to give a little shout out.
Hey, Joanna.
Hello. Shout out from the high desert. Okay.
Where's the high desert?
Shout out to you. Yeah, where is the high desert? Where is that? Joanna, just let us know. Drop that in there. We thank you for joining us. Heaven Hollywood popped in too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, doing a great job with discussion, brother. Thank you very much. Heaven Hollywood Experience. You know how he do. He does the shows. Y'all check him out. You get the
she out in California, Victorville.
Oh, there we go. Okay, dope. California. Well,
I know you're having it tough out there with the drought and the crazy heat. It's like Death Valley was like 130. That's Iraqi
it's crazy
weather
out there. Yeah, it's crazy out there. But we definitely appreciate you checking in from the West Coast PST. And we appreciate that. So Black Widow, like I said, it was the story was good. It was good to finally see some origin, kind of clear some things up. I think David Harbour, I think he was hilarious in this film.
Yeah.
He was done very well. What did she say here? She said, it's 718 and 98 degrees.
100 degrees.
97 degrees. I mean,
I hope you got this on standby somewhere. I really do.
Yeah. Or some Gatorade. You need some Gatorade, something that's gonna, some with some electrolytes.
You got a pool?
Pool. It's I mean, now granted, I'm here in Florida, and it's the same type of deal as far as hot, but it's a very humid hot. So it's very easy for it to be 90 degrees at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Still be in the 90s, and trust me, I hate it. But that type of heat gets. So y'all, you definitely try to stay cool over there. Hope you got your AC. She says she have a pool. There you go. There you go. You good. You good.
You good.
You got a pool.
Wait a minute. So I'm just curious. Are you in the pool right now while you're watching all of us?
Yeah, that would be great. It's in the pool. So what does the IE stand for? Well, it's a good question, Joanna. The IE stands for the Independent Entertainment Network. So we are, this network is dedicated to bridging the gap between independent and mainstream. So we, it is the Independent Entertainment Network. Thank you for asking. That's a nice plug for us. So all independent shows and and hosts and podcasts, holla at us, man. We got a nice platform. Our thing is growing. Our base is growing. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. That is our goal before the end of the year. We are now closing in on 7,000. So it's working. It's starting to happen, man. We've been running contests. We're going to continue to run contests. We'll continue that this month. Maybe next week we'll do another contest. And we just want y'all to hit the subscribe button. And Joanna, we appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button, man.
Share.
And share. But definitely share the show. Subscribe. Hit the little bell if you want, so that way when we got shows popping off here. We have if you're into sports, or if you have someone that is into sports, we have a sports show called The Bench Warmers every Tuesday at 8:00 here on the IE Network with our host, Jimmy Ace, James Acevedo. Also, Heaven Hollywood joins him a lot of the times. Then, of course, you have the Heaven Hollywood Experience, where he is, he jumps on periodically throughout the week. He doesn't really have a set time. He just jumps on when he's ready to jump on.
When I want to come on. That's how
we want to come on. But he does his thing. Him and the heavy hitters, they jump on, and you can get all of the celebrity gossip and entertainment news that's going on in the business. And then you have us every Monday night at 9:00. You have Real Talk, and we talk strictly movies and television, mostly scripted movies and television. We don't really do reality shows and things like that, because there's enough of that. There's enough of that, So we scripted television has made a serious comeback, and we love it because partially because of the streaming services has really helped bring back scripted TV. Because these streaming services with their original content, from Amazon Prime to Netflix and all of they're all getting it now. Even IMDb is starting to do. They have their own TV service, and they're going to start doing original content. Everyone is doing it now, so we love it. We love it. We love it. And I appreciate the support. We appreciate the support 100%. Did you see? I'll ask the people in the chat room, including you, Joanna. Did you see the Black Widow movie? If you did, how did you see it? Did you go to the theater, or did you watch it on Disney Plus if you saw it? And let's say 2 parts to that question. If you did not see it, do you plan on seeing it? And how do you plan on seeing it? Do you plan on going to the movie theater, or do you plan on either waiting for it to become open on Disney Plus, or you pay for it? If you hear that question, I know it's a 2-parter. Pop it up in the chat room. And that for everyone else in the chat room. If you saw Black Widow, how did you see it? And if you did not see it, how do you plan on seeing it? Which method are you going to go? Are you going to go to the theater, or are you going to watch it on Disney Plus? Yeah, so she didn't. She said she'll look out for it. She did not see it. So so you have options. You can watch it at the theater. Right, you can watch it. Well, other than the bootleg man, you could go watch it at the theater, or you can choose to. So if you watch it at the theater, obviously you pay for it. Most people, unless you're a movie aficionados like us, most people don't like to go to the movies by themselves. So you probably go with someone. So you go to the movies. So you got to pay obviously to do that. If you watch it on Disney Plus, it's $29.99 to get it in advance and watch it now. Or you could say, you know what? I don't need to do neither. Eventually, it's going to become available on Disney Plus, and I'll wait. If you're a subscriber of Disney Plus, or you have to be a subscriber, or DVD or Blu-ray, whatever. So you have options, and that's one of the things we talked about tonight. The options that you have, right now when you're dealing with Disney-based, Disney movies. They're giving you options. They're giving you the option to screen it earlier. Well, not earlier. Just watch it on Disney Plus earlier than it would normally be on Disney Plus, and pay for it. And they're also, giving you the option to, go to a movie theater and watch it like traditionally. So that's. I think, to be honest with you, that appeals to today's technology, today's world, and that what she said. She haven't been to theater in years. Oh, so most likely, I'll wait for it on TV. There you go. She's not a theater person, even before the pandemic. If she hadn't been to theater in years, then she's just not a theater person. There's people like that, and I think now, because of that's where they're filling a void, and now they're collecting. Really, with this model, they're going to collect all of the money from everybody this way, because you're going to have your people that's just not theater people. I have a cousin that's like that. He has everything at home. Hell, Eddie Murphy was like, even though he's a celebrity, but I'm just saying, Eddie Murphy was like that. Eddie Murphy built everything in his house. He never left his house, really. He had people would come to his house for parties. He had a bowling alley in his own house. Has his own bowling alley, and
his ass don't count. He gets screeners. I would, if I got screeners, I probably wouldn't.
Oh yeah, he gets screeners. Yeah, I wouldn't leave the house either, but I got screeners. I used to get them. We had to get back to doing that. We got to get back to getting screeners.
I need those screeners back for real.
Yeah, we need to get those screeners
from
back,
Disney.
Man.
I used to get every month Disney. When I used to work in this video store, I had signed up for Disney, and every month they would send me a box, like whatever's coming out the next month. They would send me a box of screeners. So I would have like a lot of B movies, but sometimes I would have like that major, like when they sent me Pulp Fiction, I was like, oh, they were sending me big stuff,
Yeah, I saw a lot. I used to get a lot of screeners too when we should.
Yeah, and then once DVD came, that was a wrap. That was a wrap of the screeners. At least from that VHS, that was a wrap for
them. So yeah, and then she said she had a screen upstairs with most of the technologies. Okay, there you go. That's what you want. You good then. You good money. Just go ahead and watch it whenever you get. If you're a subscriber of Disney Plus, you have access to see it, and eventually it will come on Disney Plus where you won't have to pay extra money for it. You'll be able to watch it. But that's what we're here for, Joanna. We're the guys that can kind of give you a feel of the movie, and you may want to see it, you may not want to see it. So Black Widow, obviously, if you watched any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, is part of that universe. They finally are, telling a story. But once again, not to keep harping on it, I feel that they are, and I'm not sure the fact that they've now going in another direction with the character. I just feel like we could have got much more Scarlett Johansson, as Black Widow, if they would have released this movie earlier in the timeline of the MCU. Because hell, we may have even gotten a Black Widow 2 movie by this time if they would have released it earlier in their timeline of movies. Because by the time after Avengers, because it was great to they put it after Civil War, but they didn't have to do that. Like the story could have been written at any time in the timeline. You know what I mean? Because it tells her backstory, but this movie is really, it tells her backstory, and then it takes place not in present time, but it still, takes place right after Civil War. But they could have wrote this film, after Avengers or after Age of Ultron, when you saw a little glimpse of her. Avengers Age of Ultron, we saw a little glimpse of her life when Scarlet Witch touched her, and she had all those things that went on in her head, and you saw the Red Room and stuff like that. So they could have made this film after that. You know what I mean? So they could have picked a couple of timelines to put it in, and we would have been experiencing it more in real time, so to speak, where we're not experiencing it posthumous. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the thing that I feel they could have did better with. It's kind of disrespectful, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? To that character who's pretty much been in almost not every MCU movie, but she's been in it since the beginning. Yeah, since the beginning. She's in Iron Man 2, which is really Iron Man 2 is really where, the MCU started kicking in, because they started, doing the, Iron Man 1, they had Fury, pop up, who kind of like, introduced it, and then the Iron Man 2, I believe, I don't know what happened. Or was it Iron Man 2 that Fury popped up?
No, he pops up at the end of 1.
Yeah, of 1.
Two brings in Coulson. No, 2 brings in Coulson finding the hammer.
The
that
hammer.
brings in Thor.
Right, yeah, that brings in Thor.
3.
And then what they did with Incredible Hulk, which was in between that, Tony Stark pops up at the end of Hulk.
Yeah,
talks
which
to
is the beginning of the
Thunderbolt
Avengers.
Ross. Right.
Yeah, which is the beginning of the Avengers.
Yeah, so that whole thing, all putting that together, but she's been there since Iron Man 2. So she's one of the only, other than Tony Stark, she's been around since the beginning. And I feel that she should have got her film before this.
Well, I got a question with Scarlett Joe having this. Do they do a Nick Fury movie? I mean, if they do we even need a Nick Fury movie?
No, they're not going to do that. And Nick Fury is an established character. There's no need for him to have.
His origin was pretty much in Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
that was his origin. They kind of took Captain Marvel and split it between origins, and you showed Nick Fury's origin, which was a smart decision, to do it, because now you don't have to do a Nick Fury movie. You know what I mean? So you was able to do that.
It wasn't even a full origin story either. It was just his character was just established that he's been around.
Well, yeah. It wasn't a full origin story.
If it's anybody,
but
if
it
was anybody's origin story, if it was anybody's origin story, it was Coulson. It was more so Coulson's than it was Nick Fury's, because Nick Fury's character was already established. He was set forward as already being established. Well, yeah, remember the events, because like even the events that put him in the position that he's in as director the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. happened with Robert Redford's character before Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Remember, he got appointed to that because of what he did to end up saving Robert Redford's character's daughter. In the Winter Soldier, they referenced back to that point, which had to be before that. That had to be like almost in the early 80s, maybe even 70s thing.
Well, I mean,
remember
whatever happened but you got a chance to. It was like a half origin story, because you got a chance. They.
I'll be right back.
They showed you the patch. They showed you, like all of the things that he's known for. They kind of, even though they made that up. But I'm just saying, regardless of whatever they made up, they answered the question: why does Nick Fury wear an eye patch?
Why does he wear an eye patch or whatever? Yeah.
So they got that. They also showed you where and when he got the idea for the Avengers Initiative. They showed you that.
You get to see with that why he doesn't trust people also.
Right. You didn't see why I don't trust people. You also got to see where he got the Avengers Initiative idea from, which was basically Captain Marvel. Her name, her Air Force name. So that all of that was answered. So, and you got to see him really before he became director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And S.H.I.E.L.D. was just like, it was up and running. Obviously, S.H.I.E.L.D. been running since freaking Captain America, so, that's always been, so that's the thing. So it was like a half origin story, plus, they split it with Captain Marvel. So now they're not going to do a Nick Fury movie, even though what Samuel Jackson did, he has such a great deal that he signed, that he was going to be in all of these movies, and he really doesn't have to do that much work in the movies.
He's got to walk through.
The
I just gotta walk through with a patch on it, like, hey.
the most work he did in any of the movies other than Captain Marvel was in Avengers he did some work, and then Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Captain America, Winter Soldier, which that's where his character, pretty much kind of just, changed, and they took him out. But he had the most stuff in that. But he just pops up in the movies like he's supposed to, gets them checks, it keeps it moving. So good for Samuel Jackson. Overall, though, I'd say Black Widow was a solid film. Storyline I thought was good, even though it's told posthumously, but storyline was good. It connected pretty well to the MCU. I thought that was easy to do, though. That wasn't too hard to do. They stuck it. They picked the right place to stick it, right there after Civil War, where everyone's on the run. For people who may not remember, Captain America: Civil War, when the Avengers, kind of split up. That's when everything kind of changed there, and you had Team Cap and you had Team Stark. Black Widow is as good as she is. She's like the spy she is. She kind of helped both. She kind of helped both. She kind of helped both sides. So, she was Team Stark. She kind of just ended up on Team Stark, and then at the end of the day, she ended up helping Cap's team get away. And Stark even said that he's you're taking this whole double agent thing to the extreme. Too far. And she's like, oh, she goes in on him. And as we were saying, well, Ross heard what you did to T'Challa told Ross what you did to him, and so that's why they mentioned in this film she assaulted the king of Wakanda. Like, let's get her, bring her in, let's make an example of her. She is a violation of the Sokovia Accords, blah blah blah. Come on, bruh. You're not getting to this chick. I love the opening sequence of this film where they show them as kids, her and her sister, and then when they show how they're really willingly given up to the Russians and bought into what they call the Red Room, where they basically train all of these children from when they're children to be spies and assassins and stuff like that. So, but the opening credits sequence goes through, you could tell, like, Marvel, this is why they're the best. They've really mastered how to do this type. Like, this is cake to them now. They've done that in several films before, where you can kind of tell a story. Don't waste nothing. Let's not waste any time.
Waste time.
Don't waste any time. Keep telling your story even through your opening credits. And they've been telling stories through their closing credits from the beginning by taking, setting you up for the next film. So, but the opening credits showed all of their training, the training of the children. They showed how she was this great spy popping up in all different places in time and in history. And they showed all of that circling her face, showing, oh, there she's there in that crowd. Oh, there she is right there. So it really establishes and brings you up to speed in a matter of, under a minute, or under 2 minutes. It wasn't that long. That opening sequence was like a minute. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Maybe a minute and a half. And they mastered the art of this. This is what I'm saying for all of you filmmakers, all you storytellers out there. You have to. This is mastering the art of storytelling. You cannot waste any moment, any second, and you must tell your story. It's with the time that you have. Now, this is something that you could do it. You can't really do it during, like with writing. Like if you're writing a script, you just have to pretty much say, opening credit sequence, whatever, let them know what's supposed to happen. But that's really, utilizing, that's the word I was looking for, utilizing your time wisely. Because now, by the time the movie really gets kicked off and started, and you already know this character, right, from all of the years you've watched her, but now you just established how she became who she is. You don't even have to go back to it anymore, really. You established it in open credits. This is why I tell people, get your ass to the movies on time.
Yeah.
This is why I have a problem with people who are always late to movies. It's just opening credits. No, you missed a story. You missed part of the story.
You missed a big part.
A big part of the story by missing the opening credits. And I think everybody should take on this this feature. They should always do this because it keeps you engaged in the film. You don't I know plenty of people that if they're not late, they use the opening credits to go get popcorn because they were late. So they're like, oh, we sat down. Oh, it's the opening credits. Let me run out and get some popcorn. But then they coming back, leaning over to you, say, wait a minute.
What happened?
What's going on? What happened? What did I miss? Well, you missed everything. You missed a lot. You know what I'm saying? You missed a whole lot. Because if you didn't watch those opening credits and you come back and you watch it in the middle of the movie, you're like, wait a minute, where did this place come from? What's this red room? What are you talking about? What is that? They won't even know because it was established in the opening credits. You know what I'm saying? All of the training and stuff like that. And then you all of a sudden, they revisit it and showed all of the women in there. That's, what? I thought it was awesome, though. It was great storytelling. Yeah. Great storytelling.
I was impressed.
I was pleasantly not surprised.
I was entertained. I was really entertained. Not impressed. Not impressed. I was really entertained. That's wrong saying I was impressed because you don't have to impress me. I was really, really entertained.
Yeah. I agree. And they did a good job with it. Yes, I can sit here and moan and groan about how it should have happened earlier. Yes, I feel it should have, but it happened when it happened, and they did a good job. Now, the next thing I'm looking forward to see is just, because I don't know what the expectations are with the Eternals. A lot of people are going to probably approach it like they did with Guardians of the Galaxy. They're not sure where they're going to go with it, but to be able to impress with that, that's going to show you once again why people say make mine Marvel, because Marvel finds a way to. Now let's not forget, people may or may not know, in the Eternals you will be hearing and talk. They're going to be discussing familiar topics that we as MCU people will know, and they are setting up Namor is being set up in the Eternals. So then we will see Namor in Black Panther 2. So it's connected. I don't know if they're going to have an end credit scene that actually shows the adult Namor, but a lot of reports show that in the trailer of the Eternals, there's the shot of a young Namor. So we'll see how they introduce that. But I'm hearing that that's what's going to happen. And probably if that's the case, by the end of the Eternals may set up Black Panther 2, and may set up the storyline that's going to happen with Black Panther 2.
What do you think Shang-Chi is going to set up? Because that comes first.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it's going to set up. It may lead to, because there's a lot of different I've heard a lot of different elements of what Shang-Chi might involve. I heard the Mandarin might be involved in that, which the Mandarin is an Iron Man villain, which they dropped the ball on in Iron Man 3. That was just terrible the way they did that. Yeah, maybe they'll have him. Maybe they'll have that. I'm not sure what else Shang-Chi will set up, but I thought this somehow it's going to be tied to like Doctor Strange or something like that. I don't know, but I know Doctor Strange is also tied to the multiverse of madness. That's Doctor Strange. I think that's going to be tied to Spider-Man somehow. You know what I mean? So they always find ways to do it. But I believe if Namor is going to be in the Eternals, then more than likely that's going to set up. You're going to understand more somehow of how they use him in Black Panther 2. Now, from the comic standpoint, and they don't always follow the comic to the T. They always use the comics as their guideline, their blueprint, but they always, implement their own elements. They change it, which is fine. All we ask for as comic guys and gals that you reference the source material in the best way possible. So in the comics, there's a war going on between Wakanda and Atlantis. So I don't know if they're going to go that far because it's, short notice, or not short notice, but, they have to build that up. They may. I'm not sure if they also, excuse me, Namor, all of them had something to do with the demise of T'Challa, who ended up in like a bad coma, which led to Shuri taking over the mantle of the Black Panther and the protector of Wakanda. So, which then leads even deeper than that. Goes on to be even deeper than that. But there is a war between Wakanda and Atlantis. So they're probably going to build that. And, which once again, we go back to that again. Now, Atlantis, we go back to DC. Had they have done Flashpoint when they were supposed to do it a few years ago, they were supposed to do Flashpoint, and they kept pushing it back. We've already would have seen Atlantis at war with Themyscira. You see what I'm saying? So once again, another ideology that they had first is going to be demonstrated first with Marvel. So in the storyline of Flashpoint, Wonder Woman and Aquaman are involved. They have an affair. And Wonder Woman kills the Queen of Atlantis because Mira, she comes and finds them, and she challenges Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman beheads her, basically.
Wow.
And and at that point, now Atlantis is at war with Themyscira. So that's what happens. That happens in Flashpoint. Had they've done it when they were supposed to do it, we've already would have seen that. So now, would we have seen what's going to happen if they decide to do that with Black Panther 2? Which, this is me just from my research and looking into things. It's not written in stone. It's some, because they have not leaked out any real plots of Black Panther 2, which they are filming now in Atlanta. So that's not an official plot, but from my research, from different reports of other people that I've seen, that's really reliable sources, that's pretty much what it's going to be. We already know that Namor is definitely the antagonist of the Black Panther 2 storyline, because Namor throughout the years has always been an anti-hero, or like he's a hero, but he's been on the other side fighting other heroes throughout his career, you know what I'm saying? And so now let's I don't want to spend too much time on it, but let me ask you this, Ralph. I know you're not a comic person, but I'm trying to explain a lot of stuff too. So now you have Namor, who is pretty much the prince or the king of Atlantis, who is basically Marvel's version of Aquaman, right? Another, once again, another property that was, before there was Namor, there was Aquaman, but that's a whole nother story too, because I'm not going to get into it where there was, oh no, Namor was first, Aquaman was first. But anyway, so he's Marvel's version of Aquaman. And they're gonna have this thing going on between Atlantis and whatever. Now we were able to see Atlantis in Aquaman, their version, DC's version. It's got a lot of history. It showed up in Aquaman. It showed up. It actually first showed up in Justice League, and then in Aquaman. Do you think, like Kev had mentioned, which I think he dropped off, but Kev had mentioned that since Marvel always has a way of outshining DC, or Disney has a way of outshining Warner Bros., whatever you want to call it. How do you think they're going to receive Namor? From your standpoint, from a non-comic standpoint. So let's take the comic, because we know that comic fans are going to receive him well. Let's take the comic standpoint out of it. As a person who just watched movies and followed the MCU storyline, how do you think he's going to be received?
I think that it's not an easy thing to judge. I think it really depends on who you have played Namor.
The person that's playing Namor is they already have him cast. I can't even remember his name, but he was in Narcos. He was in the show Narcos. All right, so they have him cast as Namor. He's not like no big star, but he has a recognizable face because he was in the show Narcos. If you watch that show, you'll recognize him. You know what I mean? So he's Namor. So they don't have no big name play. They didn't do like what DC did. They went out and got Jason Momoa, who was very well known from Game of Thrones and stuff like that. So they went and did that, and he's just kind of like out there, known guy, because he's married to Lisa Bonet, and they're even in social media pretty known and stuff, right? So that's their route that they went. And of course, him playing Aquaman really boosted his popularity as well. But because I didn't know much, because I don't watch Game of Thrones. I wasn't a Game of Thrones watcher, so I wasn't too sure who Jason Momoa was myself.
Well, I knew who he was before Game of Thrones, because he used to be on the game. He was in that awful Sylvester Stallone movie, Bullet to the Head. He was he was in something else that I can't remember right this second. But I knew I was familiar with who he was. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. He was nowhere near as popular as he was before Game of Thrones. Nowhere.
Joseph Tanner is hilarious. So shout out. He's like Princess Diana, Wonder Woman, not the Queen of Atlantis. yeah, Joseph. She killed the Queen of Atlantis in that storyline. Which they may not do that because of Warner Brothers once again not handling everything right. We may not even have a Wonder Woman by the time Flashpoint come out. The way Warner Brothers is handling things, we may not even have Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman anymore. Warner Brothers they can mess up. They can, these guys can F up a wet dream. I'm telling you, man, they can do anything. But go ahead.
But the Namor thing, I think it really boils down to who the actor is. If he generates heat, because the first thing I say, well, he ain't no Jason Momoa. That's gonna be the first thing people start going with that analogy right off the bat. So, and then I think after the actor comes, you're gonna have to see a little bit, either a little bit of footage of him as Namor, or in his costume to see exactly what he looks like. Because now he's got to be just as rugged as what Momoa is as Aquaman.
Well, like I said, to me, that was the only great play by DC, which you have to give credit to Zack Snyder, because he's the one who cast Momoa. That was well played, because Jason Momoa looks nothing like the Aquaman from the comic books, and he actually looks more like Namor should look. You know what I mean? So, Aquaman from the comic books is blonde hair, always had blonde hair, and he's always been, he's a blonde hair white guy. Jason Momoa is not that. right? He's not blonde hair, and he's not a white guy. So when they first picked Jason Momoa, and I remember when I saw him, I'm like, this dude could play Namor. I remember saying that. I'm like, because Namor has always been like a tan color. You couldn't really tell what Namor is. Like it looked like he could, you could get a Native American to play Namor. You can get a Hispanic to play Namor. You can even get an Asian to play Namor. But because he kind of like changed the way he's drawn, but he never really looked like a white guy. You know what I'm saying? So, which that's what this guy from Narcos is not a white guy either. He's
no. I'm looking at his name right now. His name is Tenoch Huerta.
Yeah.
Huerta. I mean, I'm just looking. He looks kind of softish, But there's this picture that I'm looking at. I mean, he looks like he could have. He should have been in Colombiana with Zoe Saldana. I don't know, but I think those are the first two comparisons. Like he not no Jason Momoa, he's not, and
but I mean, obviously he's gonna have. I'm sure he's not gonna look like that when he comes on screen. He had to hit the gym because he's gonna be. He's gonna be in no shorts. He's gonna be in no shirts through the whole movie, pretty much. And Namor only with like Aquaman has more of a suit has more of an outfit than Namor. Namor is shirtless, and he had on like short, like almost like, let's just say, shirtless and swim trunks type of deal. And Namor has wings on his feet because he's a mutant, I think. He has wings on his feet, so he could fly, but he can also, he's obviously, Atlantis. So Aquaman has always had a costume. He's always had an outfit. Jason Momoa, once again, kind of changed that dynamic by kind of just seeing him walk in with his shirt off and just, pants and whatever. Like I said, they could have easily casted Jason Momoa to play Namor. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe that would have been all right. Okay.
But I'm just saying. Right? So that's why I said that might be the first time that you could say, well played by DC, because not only did they cast someone and they did well with the character, they also kind of not stole, but for the first time they kind of beat Marvel to the punch, and they let Jason Momoa be Jason Momoa as Aquaman, as opposed to saying we need to cast someone who has blonde hair and whatever, and let them play Aquaman.
Yeah, look with little booties on, looking like he just came out of a Queen show. Queen the band.
Yeah.
But no. I mean, that has always been the knock on Aquaman until Mo, that he just he don't look like a suit. He looks soft. Like, what's he gonna do? Throw a starfish at me?
Right. Exactly, and that was unfortunately the way he was drawn in the cartoons. Now in the comics, he's badass the way he's drawn. He still has the blonde hair, but that was after 52. He got the beard, and he's muscular, and he the way people like Jim Lee and stuff like that drew, like Aquaman's drawn badass in the comic books.
Yeah, but now, of course, but that's now. But right, before,
he's been drawn that way for years. But I'm just saying, from the Super Friends era, that's what everybody remembers.
As everybody knows.
That's what everybody remembers.
They even made, I remember before 52 came out, they even made fun of him on the Big Bang Theory. He was like, "Oh, come on, man, Aquaman sucks. Nobody wanted to be Aquaman." Now you see, he's like, "Whoa, this guy like 6'4", 225, long black hair, muscles, and not muscles, and tattoos."
Yeah.
With this
right.
real deep
none of that stuff, right? Yeah, none. Like I said,
now he's bad.
Big up to Zack Snyder for making that decision to cast him and going in that direction. It almost like a F you to Marvel, because, like I said, I know Marvel at first was probably looking at it like, damn it, like they got this dude. He looks more like Namor than he does Aquaman. You know what I mean? It's like crap. So now they have to, for the first time, they have to compete against that and see, like you said, now you might hear he's no Jason Momoa. You know what I'm saying? which that's kind of like a little win. That's a win for DC in a way. You know what I mean? Because everyone is like, well, you got all of these characters that they brought on. DC did get a win also with the first female thing because, Wonder Woman was a way better movie than Captain Marvel, even though Captain Marvel did good numbers. But that's just because of the MCU and stuff like that. But Wonder Woman was a way better movie.
Was a way better movie.
Right. It was a way better movie than Captain Marvel.
I think Marvel at this point, Namor is going to be a tough sell until people start seeing it. And now, I think the other problem is now that Black Widow is now out, there may start being a call say, well, wait a minute, Marvel, you got a whole bunch of other female characters, She-Hulk, Spider-Woman. What are you doing with them? I mean, I know She-Hulk is going to TV.
Yeah.
But Spider-Woman, you got a Spider-Man movie coming out pretty soon.
You never know that it's a whole Spider-Verse type of deal that they got going on, so you never know because you're probably gonna see Spider-Gwen, who is kind of like a Spider-Gwen from the multiverse. So we'll see from the Spider-Man multiverse. We'll say the Spider-Verse. Which we'll see how that works out. But ultimately, to wrap the show up. But it's going to be interesting to see how they play Namor, and the smart thing is they are bringing him in on an already established property, which is Black Panther 2. Already, which it's going to be. Yes, it has a million questions around it because of T'Challa, blah blah blah. But more than likely, they're going to go with the storyline that we've always talked about, which is the Shuri storyline, which at this point makes the most sense. Which because it incorporates Namor, so it's really leaning towards that storyline. Even if they modify it and do stuff like that, it's leaning towards that storyline because that storyline was that storyline and had Namor was pretty much the villain of that storyline.
I'm sorry, but if you're doing Black Panther, and now this is where also the Black Widow thing goes. I think it's time that you bring this 5'8" Black woman with white hair, that has abilities to control weather. I think it might be time to at least mention her or a cameo or something.
Here's some news for us. Thank you, Marcus. They are making a Spider-Woman movie directed by Olivia Wilde, and Sony has the rights, though. They said so. Okay, cool. Thank you for that information. I appreciate that. I was not up on that. So makes sense that Sony has the rights. They have the rights to all of the Spider-Man properties. So I can see that. For sure. So they are developing the Spider-Woman movie. Sony's like, hey, we want to throw our bid in and get some of this movie with female-led movie money. You know what I mean? And see if they can get that popping. So I think that it's gonna be interesting to see what you just mentioned about Black Panther. What did you say about that? You were saying that
I said I think it might be. I would like to see in Black Panther 2 a little parents or nod to this 5'9" Black woman with white hair.
You're talking about Storm, right? Weather. Exactly. Possibly, you might see that. I told you it's still T'Challa or not. Now let's not get it twisted. Storm is not from Wakanda. She's in Africa. But she's not from Wakanda. So, but I always thought, even before the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman, but T'Challa or not, you do have an opportunity to introduce Storm and actually introduce mutants because technically Namor is a mutant. So they actually are introducing mutants through Black Panther 2. So you have an opportunity to introduce more mutants and say, hey, boom, give you a little teaser. I can see them doing a little tease of Storm somewhere in Africa, right? I can see that. I can see them throwing that in there somewhere. But Storm, before she goes to school of Xavier, gifted children, while she's still in Africa, or whatever. I could see that. I could see them doing that. I wouldn't be surprised. Knowing Ryan Coogler, he may do that. I could see him doing that. Because I believe what they wanted to do anyway was set that up eventually. Everyone thought that, if T'Challa was still in it, we would see him and Storm getting married. That's not happening that soon. It would have never happened that soon. Even if T'Challa was still in the film, you would not be seeing the marriage of T'Challa and Storm. That's not happening. Would not have happened in the second movie. Maybe in the third movie it might have happened. Or it's not going to happen until Storm is established. She has to already establish. We would have to have already witnessed X-Men and stuff like that before that happened, because she has to be an established character before that would ever happen. So everyone was jumping the gun saying, "Oh yeah, Storm." All I said was we got an opportunity to see Storm, because obviously Wakanda is on the continent of Africa, so we can always find a way to incorporate Storm. So that's really the only thing. I said there's an opportunity there. But if you people thinking, we're gonna, don't be worrying about that. That ain't happening no time soon. But I agree with you, Ralph. It would be nice to see a little teaser, a little hint. The way I had it was even a little more than what we would probably get. I always thought it would have been a perfect opportunity to introduce mutants, period, where at the end you see Storm somewhere in the movie because, maybe she was like, trying to, whatever. You see her a quick little thing in the movie. And then at the end credits, you see her be approached by Xavier, you know what I mean? And then that's it. And like that just sets up X-Men, you know what I'm saying? It'll be like, oh, shoot. Like Xavier finds her because she uses her powers for the first time during Black Panther 2. And, once she uses her powers, Xavier could track her with Cerebro, So you would think, oh, okay, because she used her powers that one time that we saw, that little hint that we saw in Black Panther, then the end credits come around and next thing you know, Xavier is approaching her, and you're like, oh, we set up X-Men. But who am I? I don't work at Disney. I don't work at Marvel. So that's just my speculation. That's just how I would do it. But I agree with you. And I believe we're going to see it, especially now that we don't have T'Challa. I think something like that is more needed. No? What do you think?
I think now you need a boost. You need something to start setting up down line. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me to see if either in that second Doctor Strange movie or even Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man movie, where either you're going to begin to introduce or give the idea that the X-Men are coming, or particularly New York, Fantastic Four. I think those
definitely Fantastic. Well, Fantastic Four between Spider-Man, it may be introduced in Ant-Man actually, because you have a villain, of Kang the Conqueror, who is something that, so they may actually introduce Fantastic Four in the new Ant-Man movie, like give you a hint of it or whatever the case may be.
Well, I'm leaning more towards Spider-Man simply because of the New York factor. That he's going to be in New York City. That's the only reason, Yeah. And now you could be right with that one. And not for nothing, I mean, if they had decided to do another Punisher on the big screen, they're going to jump him back onto the big screen. That might be a nice surprise, or maybe even a nod to. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with all. Now I'm thinking about it, I don't know what Marvel's going to do with the characters that were on television, like Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. What are you just going to let them just sit out, or are you going to bring them into the movie universe?
I mean, they could, they set themselves up. They can do it because
I can see Jessica Jones in Spider-Man 3. I don't know. I just see her like her doing something, or Spider-Man doing something. She's like, "Hey, buddy, why'd you fly into me?"
Charlie Cox is allegedly in the Spider-Man movie because he's Daredevil. He's
gonna play. But he's not playing.
He's gonna play. Not gonna be Daredevil in it. He's gonna be Matt Murdock. Right? He's a lawyer.
Right.
So I can see them, if they're already going to bring him into the movie world, like I said, they're going to do with their television shows what DC and Warner Brothers should have done with their television shows. And you will see some of the television properties cross over to the and now that the guy who they had for Luke Cage, he's pretty much now a movie star. He's been popping in movies, you know. He's been in quite a few movies. You know what I mean? So hey, let's make that transition. You know what I mean? Because one thing there was always this one to me, and this, you know, we're about to, you know, wrap up, but there was always this to me, I thought was a false facade or persona of or narrative that TV stars can't be movie stars and vice versa, when it's very common that most big movie stars started on television. You know what I'm saying? A lot of big movie stars started on television.
But see, I know where that comes from, and to a degree they're right. And I'm gonna say this is more because of the advancement of television between streaming services and particularly cable. Before, it was very hard for a television star to really become a big deal movie star. It was really hard. There was very few people that had did it.
Yeah, but
very few people.
But that was just a narrative that was set forth, which was a stupid narrative, because then you have people like George Clooney and people like Jennifer Aniston. These people became big movie stars, and they started on television.
But if you go further back, I mean, TV didn't come just because of ER. I mean, you could like for example, Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball never became a big deal movie star. She was a TV star.
Yeah, but that was right. But also, you got to remember, also, a lot of the TV stars, once they had their real realm like that, that's what they wanted. That was their realm. That's what they dominated. Lucille Ball dominated television.
No,
why
you can't
leave
say
that realm?
You
why
can't
leave
say
that
you
realm? She dominated it.
But
why leave it? Her and Desi Arnaz was dominating.
That's very true. But I mean, you can take that argument with George Clooney. George Clooney was, even though he was not the headliner to ER, he was clearly the draw, right? And even with George Clooney now, when George Clooney first started making feature films, people was like, no, he Batman and Robin, the Peacemaker, no, it wasn't until Out of Sight when you saw him more of that character from ER with some swag. So he was like, maybe. But look at all those other people that was on ER. None of them have really broken into.
But I mean, you know, Tom Hanks started in television, became a big movie star.
Denzel Washington, but
Billy Crystal started in television, became a big movie star.
See, wait. I mean, you can't count Billy Crystal. Wait, Billy Crystal, you can't really count because he, even though he was on soap, but he went from soap into doing Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live is an entirely different beast. So I don't count any of those guys or any of those people.
You gotta count them. He started in television. You gotta count them. Not everyone in Saturday Night Live became big movie stars.
You're
not everyone.
You're absolutely right.
A lot of them. Yeah.
You're right. However, the bulk of them, once they jumped to the big screen, they were successful. Even now, a lot of them, when they jump to the big screen, are truly successful. I think because of the environment
way less now than then.
Way
less now than then.
But no, even if
girl
you look at the original,
I keep forgetting her name, but she hasn't really blossomed into the movie stardom yet. The one who's the funniest one on Saturday Night Live right now, the female, I forget her name, but she was in the Ghostbuster movie.
But that's McKenna. McKenna has gotten a lot of work on the big screen between Ghostbusters, Office Christmas Party. She was in Bombshell. She gets constant work, but she keeps changing. She keeps changing what she's doing. But if you look at the original cast members of Saturday Night Live, I think it was 7. 5 of the 7 went on to movies, became movie stars, and you keep looking at it. The person on the show that really became the draw became movie stars. Now, when the 80s and 90s came around, like David Spade he didn't become a movie star. He became a big television star. But I think the environment of Saturday Night Live is geared differently than regular episodic television. It's geared differently because you have to think on your feet. I mean, every single time you see it, it's a new set, it's a new bit. So
Yeah,
I think it's
I mean,
a little bit different.
but like, I'm just running down shows that are coming to my mind that people started in television and then they became big movie stars, like Tom Hanks.
But for every Tom Hanks, you get a David Caruso.
No, but I'm just saying, think about what's his name, Robin Williams. Same thing with him. Started on television,
right?
Became a big movie star.
Henry Winkler couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it. But I think more so because of the character that he got just kind of stuck with, which became an iconic television character. Which that's something that we could think about maybe for another show. How it's hard to break out of those when you become this iconic. And I mean, iconic television character. So that's just like, you got the Fonz. That's just like with Urkel. You know what I mean? Steve Urkel.
Right.
Like it's hard to break out of that situation because you've pretty much dominated the television realm. It's just like freaking Carol O'Connor. Archie Bunker. He stayed in television. You never saw him cross over into like movies like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Even Jackie Gleason did do movies later. You know what I mean? He did, Smoking the Bandit. And he was good in the movies that he did, but he didn't do a terrible amount of them. You know what I mean?
Well,
he's a television guy.
But Jackie Gleason was, he's an Oscar nominee. He was in The Hustle.
Yeah,
he did. I mean, and
he did his thing.
He's
one of
Reynolds. But there's a lot of guys and women that do television that really do really well in television. That like not for nothing. You mentioned Jennifer Aniston. The three guys from Friends, none of them. And they have tried. They have tried. No,
it's really the two. It's always a ratio, right? The two. The two, Jennifer Aniston and Courtney Cox, pretty much went on to do pretty well, in movies. Became movie stars, right?
Yeah, Lisa Kudrow doesn't do too bad. She doesn't do too bad.
She did a few movies. Good. I wouldn't say she became a huge movie star, but she really just kind of bounced off of Friends and did her thing, right? So so you got people like that. So my point is, yes, you could say whatever, but I still think that's a narrative that was a BS narrative that shouldn't have been put, because yes, you got some people that are just television actors, and meaning like they're in that realm. It's just like, for instance, like soap opera actors, right? I'm gonna use that as an example. You never really see soap opera actors. There's a few of them, but you never really see very few. But you never see soap opera actors make the jump to movies, and a lot of the times they really don't want to. Now, granted, Eric Braeden, he did a couple of movies here and there, but he really didn't do a lot. He started on television and he stayed on television. Eric Braeden, one of his first things you ever saw him in was in Wonder Woman, actually, the Wonder Woman television show. Then he ends up becoming Victor Newman on the Young and the Restless, and now he's forever known as Victor Newman. You know what I mean? We get it. That's fine. Some television actors, that's all it is. And granted, I'm going to be honest with you, as much as people would like to think the other way, a lot of those television actors, they're comfortable with being what they are. It's a steady check. It's a constant paycheck. And in their own realm, they are superstars. When you had what I'm saying, in their own realm, they are superstars. You have the Eric Braeden in the realm of soap opera, which there ain't that many soap operas left, except for the one that he's on. There's a couple, but in the soap opera realm, he is a god. You know what I'm saying? He's a superstar in that realm.
Like Susan Lucci. Susan Lucci
is a goddess.
Is the queen.
She's a queen in the soap opera realm. Why the hell would she even want to do movies? It's almost like, it's almost like becoming now a small fish in the big pond. Why would you want to do that when you have the success of television under your belt? You know what I mean? So some of them don't want to go to movies as much as people may think, and then some of them do want to make stuff. I'll give you my final example. I did a film. I started doing a film called Disciple that I wrote for someone was producing. It was a psychological thriller. We reached out to Persia White, who had up until that point only done television, and because that she wanted to venture into film. She was one of the people that was doing well in television, but did want to venture into film. She agreed to be in our film for like peanuts compared to what she was getting per episode from Girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? They'll make, the ones that do want to make that jump to film, they make exceptions and stuff like that. So you have plenty of them that do, but you do have some that really don't care to do it. Because really, when you think about it, film, it's a one-off. It's very rare that an actor is going to get any back-end money unless they're a huge actor like Denzel Washington or something like that, or they help produce the film.
Or the project is big.
Right.
Unless the project is big. Unless the project is really,
well,
really big.
Well, if the project is big, like I said, still in all, unless, even big projects, when they first start, depending on who it is, not everyone's going to get back in money unless you're the star of that thing. You know what I'm saying? So being an actor, a film actor, is not easy. It's waiting for the next call. Even Halle Berry said it in her interview. She thought that getting that Oscar, and still to this day is the only Black woman to win that particular Oscar, right? And she thought that was going to really shoot her stock up and get everyone ringing down her phone, and she said it didn't happen.
It didn't do it. And since you mentioned that, although we was not here, Viola Davis got robbed this year. Sorry, she was robbed, way robbed. But I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, okay. So that's what I'm saying. So my point is, it doesn't always happen that way, and some of them want to, some of them don't want to. They like the film. So, that's pretty much all I have to really say about that. I'm not going to harp on it too much.
That's true. But like I said, I think that narrative, there is some merit in that. And I think originally when that narrative was coming around, there was a lot to it. Now I think the lines have been blurred a lot. That it is possible.
It's very possible now.
Yeah,
the lines are, and you were dead on with what you said when you first started talking about it. Streaming services have helped blur that line.
Yeah, and cable
streaming services and cable
I think
helped blur the lines. Cable more so even before the streaming.
Because cable
before that.
Some of the stuff that comes on cable, like particularly HBO, is very cinematic worthy, not visually. I'm talking about story wise, like
even visually now too.
But not for nothing. I think The Sopranos is the benchmark for that one. That is The Godfather stretched out into a series form. And
but once again, The Sopranos, there's not a lot of people from that show that became big movie stars.
And the guy that was at the lead, Gandolfini, he could not do it.
He couldn't break out of that. But I think that's a Fonzie, Steve Urkel thing, though. Everybody just sees him as Tony Soprano. You know what I'm saying? Even when I saw him in that movie with Denzel Washington, what movie was he in? He played like the mayor. Was that Pelham?
Oh, that's Taking a Pelham. And that's the other thing. That everything that you saw him in,
Tony Soprano playing the mayor.
Even when you go back before he was on Sopranos, he always was playing this guy that was halfway psychotic. I mean, Crimson Tide, Terminal Velocity. Shit, I can't remember the movie with Patricia Arquette in the Quentin Tarantino movie. But he always looked like he was like mentally unhinged. Hell, even in Get Shorty, He sings, and there's a part where he's talking accent and he switches into his regular voice, and that's Tony Soprano talking. And this is before the Sopranos.
Yeah.
But that's clearly Soprano talking. So he was always that guy, and everything afterward, even when he tried to mix it like the incredible Burt Wonderstone, he's talking to people when he's talking to someone, and he says, "Yeah, then you would smell like ass." That's Tony Soprano talking. It's not this guy. So he could never break that cycle. That's what I'm saying. For every Washington, you get a Gandolfini.
Yeah, true. But here's a quick rundown, just a quick little list of movie stars who started on TV. Michael J. Fox, Leonardo DiCaprio.
I got to stop.
DiCaprio. DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio.
I got to stop you with Michael J. Fox. I get why people say Michael J. Fox is a movie star. And this is not a knock against Michael J. Fox. I think Michael J. Fox becoming sick stopped him from really being his
star. Yeah, exactly. That stopped him from being the big movie star that he probably would have become.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to. He's still on the list, though. You know, he's still worthy to be on that list of being a movie star. Yeah. Because now he's more known for his movie than his TV show. He's more known for Back to the Future than anything else. Yes, people remember Family Ties or whatever.
I'm not that sure because he did.
Come on, bro. That's a cult movie. It's a cult following movie. He is more known for Back to the Future than anything. Because of Back to the Future. It's a cult movie, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So they freaking Back to the Future has a cult following like Star Wars. Maybe not as big, but it's like that. Like they celebrate stuff every year. Because, you know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Leonardo DiCaprio is on that.
Even when he goes on TV shows, like when he does interviews, a lot of times they play the Back to the Future music when he comes out from behind the curtain. So exactly. I get that one.
He's definitely more known for Back to the Future. DiCaprio, they got Chris Hemsworth. I'm not sure where he started on.
He was in some Australian TV show. Him and Russell.
Okay, there you go. Jared Leto, Will Smith, Jim Carrey, Ryan Gosling.
Will Smith got to come off that list. Will Smith got to come off that list because he was known for something else before he even went into television. He doesn't count. I'm sorry.
Why? Because he was a rapper.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Latifah. No disrespect, but you were already big in something and then jump to something else and then jump to something else. That you don't count in that list. You could put him there, but he really doesn't count. If he was a no-name rapper,
Gordon-Levitt. Yeah, it's on the list. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, George Clooney, of course, Shia LaBeouf, Steve Carell, Robin Williams, Michael B. Jordan, Tom Hanks, who I mentioned, Chris Pratt, who we know was on television first, James Franco. They said James Franco was what was he known as? Daniel DeSario in Freaks and Geeks, Morgan Freeman from Electric Company. Johnny Depp, we know from 21 Jump Street. John Travolta, another one. There's quite a few now.
There's quite a few.
Started on television. It's quite a few.
Like I said, I'm not debating that, but
Jennifer Lawrence. They have Jennifer Lawrence was in the Bill Engvall show. They said 2007 she portrayed teenager Lauren Pearson on the Bill Engvall show. Benedict Cumberbatch, Denzel Washington, right? Remember Denzel Washington, St. Elsewhere. He started in television, you know what I mean? And theater, of course, with him.
TV, really. Movies. We really started. The first one he was in was Carbon Copy, which is before St. Elsewhere. I remember that because my dad.
Yeah, but he wasn't a movie star. They're talking about people who became movie stars. Yeah,
it's a horrible movie.
Melissa McCarthy, Gilmore Girls, Matthew McConaughey, Bruce Willis. Yeah, there's a lot of big movie stars that started in television. So but of course there's more that didn't make it in movies than there are that did. But I'm just saying, you for the most part, That's what I'm saying. My point is this, and this is my last point. My point is the fact that we're running down this list right now, to me, it's just stupid that they made this narrative that TV stars can't be movie stars, because they can. Chris Evans, Idris Elba,
I don't think
Eddie
that's
Murphy.
I don't think that's
I know
what the
you say you
narrative.
take away Eddie Murphy because, in your opinion, because of Saturday Night Live, you take him off of it. Michael Fassbender, Holly Berry, Woody Harrelson from Cheers, Jason
Certainly Woody
Bateman.
Harrelson.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got everyone. Jamie Foxx, Tom Hardy. He was on cable. He was on cable. HBO's Band of Brothers.
Really?
Amy Adams. You have so it's a huge list of and everyone we ran down are pretty big movie stars that we just ran down.
But I wasn't debating that. I said I think originally when they first started saying it was harder, but through the years with cable and streaming, it's a little bit easier now.
It is easier. I'll go even further. Say it's a lot easier now because
I would say so too.
Yeah, because of the way the cable, like you said, the storyline structures is more cinematic as far as like or movie worthy, so to speak. I mean, hell, Game of Thrones was like a goddamn movie every week. You know what I mean? So, I agree. But anyway, that whole situation, about that. It's very possible, especially now, to make that thing, so Marvel is going to still really beat DC to the punch by saying they're going to mix and match. Now with Disney Plus, they're going to mix and match the movies and TV stuff all the time. They didn't really do it with. I used to complain about it with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I was like, yo, how come we don't see too many of them? To me, it's like in this same universe, but we don't see any of the movie people in it. But they now that they have Disney Plus, you're going to see less of that and more like they did on Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We saw Don Cheadle from the Avenger movies, and Don Cheadle, the movie star, I believe he started in television too, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we saw Don Cheadle in Falcon and Winter Soldier. We didn't see much of the movie people. Well, you didn't see much of the movie people in. Then again, can't really say we've seen it. Actually, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier are the movie people. They were in the movies, and now they're in the television show. Same thing. They brought Don Cheadle in it, just like with WandaVision. Those were the movie people, and now they're in the television show. So now the line is completely blurred.
Yeah,
because it's like there is no difference. So now all of this, just to answer your question, Ralph, I do believe they will find a way to incorporate some of the people from the Netflix shows into the movies. I'm hoping, because remember, originally Kevin Feige was not going to do that, but then here now they got Charlie Cox, because so many people really praised those shows. Those shows were good. I mean,
I
Daredevil
really
was
Jones.
great. Jessica Jones
really
was great. Luke Cage was pretty good. Second season wasn't the best. I didn't like the way that Luke Cage show. You don't see Jessica Jones. That's dumb. They used Jessica Jones to introduce Luke Cage, which was great. And in the comic books, they're freaking married. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, so this is before they get married. We get it. But you saw not a peep of Jessica Jones in the Luke Cage show, which was stupid to me. They were not seen again together until the Defenders. And in the Defenders, it was kind of like an awkward moment with them, like, hey, oh yeah, sorry I didn't call. Okay, bye. Just like really like a very poorly played out awkward moment between them, because as you know, if you saw Jessica Jones, they were getting it in, and Jessica Jones, which was the way it should have been, because like I said, those two characters end up married and having a kid and everything. So in the comics, so
Yeah, Jessica Jones is getting in with a lot of people. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, well, she was, but I mean, Luke Cage was really the only one that could really handle her and give it to her the way she needed.
That scene when after they had sex and they were eating dinner, she was like, "So you want some more?" He's like, "No, I'm full." He's like, "No, that's not what I'm talking about." And you see him riding, and now they going hard, like cracking beds,
breaking the beds. Yeah, well, that's what it is because they both, really, as you think about it, they established that because you had the scene with her. With the dude in the bathroom, and she's telling him harder, 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 because she can't feel it. You know what I'm saying? And he pounding out, she can't feel it because she's, her body, she's like invincible. What's up, Jimmy Ace? Thanks for checking in. We appreciate it. We're gonna be ending the show in a few minutes, but we thank you for checking in anyway. So Jessica Jones. So the fact that to me that really didn't make sense to me, unless you were gonna put Luke Cage show before he met Jessica Jones, which that wasn't the case though. If you were gonna set it before he meets Jessica Jones, then fine. But they didn't. It wasn't set. It was set in pretty much the present tense, and they didn't even. They may have mentioned that because I believe one character from Jessica Jones showed up. I'm trying to remember. Well, you have Rosario Dawson's character who kind of was showing up on all of them. She was kind of like the crossover character, which was cool. And she ended up getting involved with Luke Cage. You know what I mean? In the Luke Cage show. So, but I just thought it was dumb that they didn't even mention. Now, in Iron Fist, one of the characters from Jessica Jones, what's her name? The girl from the Matrix.
Carrie Ann Moss.
Carrie Ann Moss, who showed up who was in the Jessica
Jones.
She was a
lawyer. She's a lawyer,
right?
Hogwarts.
Yes. She shows up in Iron Fist show. I don't know if she cameoed in Luke Cage. I don't know. I just thought it was they didn't handle it properly because once again, they didn't do it like it's like Disney Plus is the answer to all of this stuff because even with those shows they had which is normal to have different showrunners and stuff, but it almost seemed like all of them wanted to stay away from each other. They didn't want to mix and match until the Defenders came along. You see what I'm saying? So you did the Defenders and it crossed all of their worlds over, but it was like you got Luke Cage. I know you want to establish him, but you don't bring in Iron Fist when everyone knows them from being together. Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage and Iron Fist. Power Man and Iron Fist. So, they didn't handle it right. The only thing that they did handle right with all of those Netflix shows was they did have that one character, Rosario Dawson, that kind of crossed over to all of them. And then, except for the Punisher, she didn't cross over to that, but they crossed over the girl from Daredevil into the Punisher. Mm-hmm. My girl, who I can't remember her name, the redhead chick from True Blood. The girl who was in True Blood. Deborah.
No. Deborah. Yeah. And I met that woman. I was like, oh, that's she's Jessica. She is smoking.
She is, yeah.
Smoking. It's not even hot. That woman is smoking.
She's smoking, yeah. So she's in Daredevil, and they cross her over to the Punisher, which to me, in my opinion, out of those shows, I believe, in my opinion, it's Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, and then Luke Cage, and then for Iron Fist. In my opinion, I think the Daredevil show was damn near perfect. It was just the way it was done was damn near perfect. Charlie Cox did the damn thing as Matt Murdock / Daredevil. I believe the Punisher was done so well. And my man from the Walking Dead, John, what's his name again? John, I can't think of his last name. He is the Punisher. He was just like so good, and the storyline was so good, with him. And then Jessica Jones. To me, that's how it goes as far as best watch. Once again, I still go on record by saying Jessica Jones season 1 had one of the best villains ever.
Oh yeah, most
what I mean?
definitely.
That villain was awesome. That was Kilgrave, aka in the comics, the Purple Man or whatever they used to call him. In the comics, he's also known as Kilgrave too. But yeah, that was a awesome. He seemed like almost seemed like an unbeatable villain.
Yeah,
for like, yo, how you gonna beat this guy? You know what I'm saying? It's just like, how you gonna beat this dude? This dude would just be like, yeah. And remember, he could mind control you. He didn't even have to look at you. He could mind control you. He just had to hear his voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he could mind control you over the phone and call you up and be like, choke yourself. Yeah. So he was a very good villain. Very good villain to establish in the first season. It was just so crazy. So we'll see. On that note, I that's all I got for final word for everybody. Go see Black Widow if you haven't seen it. If you didn't see it in the movies, check it out on Disney Plus. Get your friends over. Maybe take $5 from 4 or 5 people and pay for it if you're a subscriber to Disney Plus. Check it out, man. Yeah, check it out. It's a good film. I'm gonna miss Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. We already know from Endgame that she, the character is over. Her character is over, but in this film sets up another Black Widow, basically. To going forward, and it all ties in to Endgame, basically. And we'll probably see that Florence Pugh, is that right? That was her name?
Yeah.
See her character probably in the Hawkeye show. That's what I'm pretty sure that will, that she may end up being the antagonist, so to speak. Not the villain, but be like an extra person that's coming after Hawkeye. Somehow or another, he gonna have to convince her it's not his fault that her sister is gone, which it really isn't his fault. She, he literally fought her to try to be the one to sacrifice himself, and she just outthought him. She outsmarted him, and he didn't even drop her. She pushed herself off. She made herself. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like he was holding on and he let her go by accident. Like, she forced it. So yeah, it's really not his fault. But
not one bit.
Somehow or another, he's gonna have to prove that to her sister, who is not really feeling it. So we'll go from there. But anyhow, that's it. That's all I got. Next week we'll come back and as soon as you get a chance and look into reaching out to Demetrius, and
I did already.
Okay, you did. Okay, cool. So we'll set that show up. We'll set the stunt show up. Reach out to David. And,
I did that.
You did that. Okay, cool. And what about your female stunt friend?
2 of the women I reached out to did not get back in touch with me, but I forgot I knew another one, so I reached out to her, who's actually being put into the Martial Arts Hall of Fame this year.
Oh,
and
wow.
She said, yeah, she would like to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, her name is Anita Clay. So
let's set this show up soon, maybe the next couple of weeks. Let's try to set it up. I'll reach out to Jamie, I mean, it's really like whenever with him. And then we'll have a nice panel of stunt people, to do a nice show on stunts. And like I said, every time we like to educate you here at Real Talk. So what we want to do is talk to them about the world of the stunt world, talk to of how unappreciated the character, the role is. And we want to educate people on the independent filmmakers out there that have this thought that they can't have stunts in there or stunt people in their films because they can't afford them or they figure that's what. Yes, you have to pay them, but it's not what you think. Like meaning, like yes, they get paid, but stunt people, they want to. They love being. You still have ones that are artistic and like to tell stories. So if they like your film, give it a shot, man. They'll work with you. Exactly. You know what I mean? They'll work with you. So, but a lot of people, Ralph, I'm telling you, a lot of independent filmmakers, they don't even think about putting stunt coordinators or stunt people in their films. They just try to do the stunts themselves, which is not a good idea.
Then they get all broke up, and then they be like,
It's not a good idea because number one, not only they can hurt themselves, it's never going to be as authentic as you having a stunt person in there working with you. You know, the film we're shooting now, Mirror. When we get an opportunity, we have a couple of stunts that have to be done. Jamie and David to see if we can get them in there, or even Demetrius to get them in there to help us with this scene, because it's like a struggling fight scene and there's some stuff going on. And, nah, man, we're not trying to do that ourselves. I'm saying these are the experts. It's just like saying, it's just like any other thing that independent filmmakers do because they can't afford. Yeah, you may learn how to edit because you can't afford to hire an editor. And that's way more feasible than saying, I'm going to do my own stunts because I can't afford to hire a stunt guy. Well, guess what? We're going to have a stunt people on with us. And we will ask them that question. Hey, do any of you do independent films? And if so, educate our viewers and listeners on how to acquire a stunt person in an independent film. Because you may not afford to pay the SAG rate for stunt coordinators or stunt people, which is, in the high, it's probably a little bit over $1,000 a day. Plus, you have what's called stunt adjustments, which is something different that you pay. So, I'd love to ask them, hey, you guys, maybe even if you guys don't personally do it, do you know people that do it? Like, I know that obviously people do it, and they get stunt coordinators on independent films, but there's a lot of people that don't want to do it because they feel like it's going to be too much money out of their budget, when that's not always the case either. So I would love to bring that up. So anyway, that's all I got. Let's end the show here. Thank you, everybody.
I got one thing to say real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I got a quick rant that I want to say. New York City Comic Con is coming up. And every year for the last few years, I have applied under this show to receive press passes from Repop for New York City Comic Con. And every single year, I am denied. Even after now, post-pandemic, I have been denied again. They keep saying the same thing. Your show does not meet our numbers. But they can never say what the number actually is or what the requirement is. I just want to publicly say that Repop can suck it. All right? Because I have been covering the Comic-Con since 2010.
Yeah.
Under my old radio show that I used to do called Out of the Box Radio.
Yeah.
I not only have I covered the Comic-Con when it was on Javits Center, when it was at the Pier 94.
Yeah.
And back at the Javits Center. In the Philadelphia Comic-Con, I have covered the Comic-Con.
Yeah, me too.
I have done every single thing.
I've covered it on the Block TV. Block TV had, our channel, Block TV, we have more subscribers than we do here on the IE network. But yeah,
for now, now,
we're on our way. We're on our way.
But my point is that when the New York City Comic Con started coming into New York to do the Comic Con, and you needed people to support what you were doing as far as press, we were there. Now that Repop has seen the taking over, now you feel like we're not important enough. We're not.
That and it's not just Repop. That started with who was the ones who was before them? Was it IG? I
never had a problem with IGN. I never had a problem with IGN.
You didn't have a problem with them?
Never.
I thought IGN had took over when I started finally getting rejections. But they're basically saying we're not big enough for them to
right. But they cannot sit there and say what your number is, what your audience numbers is. Listen, Reebok. This is a show about independent artists. We are a smaller network. No, I'm never going to have the numbers of Access Hollywood or Entertainment Tonight or Extra. If that's your requirement, then that's all that's going to come.
That's stupid because most people who watch those shows anyway aren't really checking for the New York Comic Con. You know what I'm saying? No, they're watching it for celebrities and celebrity gossip and who's dating who and all that other crap. But the internet shows are the ones that really keep the Comic Cons going.
And no, we're not Collider. We're not Collider.
Collider. We're not Screen Rant. We're not any of those. But we do have a viewership of somewhere around 40,000 views a month. I mean, that's not
chump change.
That's not chump change. 40,000 views a month on our channel, on our network. So they may not be checking that anyway. If that was the case, they would ask.
Honestly, I don't think they're checking anything. And they're just going with the name, say, well, we never heard of you before.
We never heard of you, so no. Yeah.
So I'm gonna send this video right here that I'm doing now back to Repop as my official response to their rejection letter. So let me be very clear, Repop. I'm Ralph Terry. I have covered your event since 2010 at the Jacob Javits Center. When you were on Pier 92 with my boys, Naughty by Nature performed. I have been there in your infancy. Don't think that something now that you're repopping now the comic book movies are the going force in films that you don't need quote unquote the little guys anymore. You're not that damn big.
No.
And there have been a bunch of other conventions that happen that don't happen no more. And with any convention or any event, you need the press to come out and support. If you're only going to go with people that have 50 bazillion people watching, guess what? If you got five press people coming in and each of their networks got 50 billion, guess what? All they're going to report on is the major stuff, not the minor stuff. The stuff that the other fans never get to see.
Yeah.
So I've been in Comic-Con rooms and these panels where it was just me and maybe 10 other people, but we all got a chance to start like Starship Troopers 3, like the time Red Tails came there, or like the time when the cast from some of the members of Red Tails were also I think the writer of Red Tails also was doing the Boondocks. And we actually got to sit there and talk to him and get some information more than just a quick 3-second soundbite. Don't think you're that big. Just don't. And stop stop denying the smaller outlets. Because in anything, how are the smaller outlets going to get bigger if people like you, with companies like you, keep knocking them and never let them get the chance to become bigger? How is that even possible?
This is true. I mean, that's what it is. And it's really BS. And, it is what it is, but it's just ridiculous for them to do that stuff. And some of this, let's be honest, that's why you applaud people like Zack Snyder, who he'll come on, I just need to be able to get in touch with Zack Snyder's people. But he would come on our show. You know what I'm saying? He's been on shows with less subscribers than us. I've seen it. I've seen him on these shows because he just wants to relate to fans and people that are supporters of him. He'll come on the show and talk stuff. He loves to talk. Zack Snyder loves to talk.
Yeah.
He loves to talk about stuff. We're the ones that represent those gritty, the little guy, if you want to say it. But yeah.
And I also think like when we have guests on our show, right? We're not interested in who slept with who you got a beef with. We don't care about. All we care about is what you do on that camera, on that screen, whether it's movies or television. That's all we care about. I could care less of who Kim Kardashian is hooking up with and Kanye. I don't care. If Kim Kardashian came on this show, I'm not going to ask her nothing about her sex tape. I'm not going to ask her nothing about her breakup with Kanye. I'm going to ask her about the Kardashian show. That's it. I don't care nothing about. I may be wanting to know about her personal life, but that would be something I have a discussion with her off camera if she wants it.
If she wants to.
We are not
trying to force it.
We're not
Right.
gossip.
We're not
Mockers.
gossip. We're not gossip columns or anything like that. There's people that do that, and more power to them. And I'm not knocking. So we stick to watching. The stuff that the more shows and mostly scripted shows. But yeah, that's it, man. Good rant.
That's my rant.
We'll go from there. We'll see. Try to catch up next time, whatever the case may be. But I'm not gonna be. It's not worth it to be begging to get up in these places, and they want to try to humiliate you.
And I should not have to be hitting up people that I know that have booths that have affirmative actions with repop NCCC whatever to speak on my behalf. I never needed it before.
That's where I got that. That's where I remember. I have gotten an email from them because they wanted me to take a booth because at the New York Comic Con. I've gotten emails from them about that because I've applied to them before and I did get approved to do a booth, but I ended up not doing it. So I guess I'm on their mailing list. So they've been hitting me up saying, "Hey, we're doing Comic Con this year," because they really
they're really struggling this year. They're really going to struggle.
Get top tables, and they even dropped their prices. They've even dropped their prices on tables and booths. So
they even got it on their website. If you want to hold a panel at the Comic Con, I've never seen them asking people.
I've never seen that.
I said, "Well, do you want?" Because it's the first year you're coming back after the pandemic, and they still having construction at the Jacob Jefferson, and so space limited. You've already sold out all the tickets already. You put them available on Friday, and they're already gone. You can't even get a ticket for New York City Comic Con now. You can't get a site, and that whole fan verification thing is the dumbest thing you can ever. Like, people are really going to be on the internet bootlegging a ticket for the New York City Comic Con. Not saying it's in comic, but come on now, come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. So they are struggling a little bit. So they should not be acting
denying
like this when it comes
nobody.
to press. They should be denying no press because they should be happy that anybody wants to bring some press to them because they're going to need it at the end of the day because they're having trouble filling their spots up with something that everyone's going to be, people are going to be there happy because they just got Comic-Con back. But they will be hard pressed to be like compete because, New York Comic-Con always likes to compete against the bigger comic conventions like San Diego, which, San Diego is always the biggest and the best. But New York Comic Con has had their moments when at their peak. They've had their moments where they've had some really good, panelists, really good,
Yes, they have.
shows. Stuff like that. They've had their moments. But yeah, so yeah, it's cool. We'll figure it out. Is it in October this year again?
It's in October. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So they didn't have to really change when they usually do it. They usually do it in October anyway. Because I used to always go for my birthday. Like, it's usually around my birthday weekend that they do New York Comic Con. So yeah. All right, cool. Once again, everybody, we thank you. We're going to end the show now. I've said that a million times, but I'm really doing it this time. Have a good night, everybody.
Liar.
Peace
We need
out.
5 more minutes. Just 5 more minutes.
No more. We're done. Peace.